It's we do the whole findings.
So it's me.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
you're
We're
correct.
giving them the docs.
That's why I'm gonna get.
He wasn't doing anything now.
Yes.
Better than.
Yeah.
He's not going to the. Yeah, we were totally right.
Okay, I have 7 o'clock, so I'd like to call the Town of Rochester Planning Board regular meeting to order. If you would please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, our secretary is absent tonight, so we'll be playing multiple hats. Bear with me ahead of time. The first thing to do is call to order Vice Chair Williams. Mr. Jones. Here. Ms. Lindstrom.
Here.
Mr. Jarvis. Here. Mr. Pinsky. And Anne Marie Maloney is present. This alternate will be seated as a member. Have a big Chair Grasso is also. A couple of fun facts we'd like to start the meeting with. Today's trivia comments, not question, is about our 6 oldest names in the community. So think about names who have been in the area for a long time. Last names, you can probably think of a couple off the top of your head, but I'll give them to you. We have Depew, Osterhout, Kelder, Bevier, Hornbeck, and Schoonmaker are our oldest 6. And a couple of keynotes since 1667, this family has still owned and operated 41 Garden Lane, which is the longest and oldest farm to have continuous family-owned cultivation in the United States. That is less than a mile from us, right up the street. That is the Schoonmaker family. A couple other notes is the oldest home in our area is on 167 Lower Whitfield Road, which is the old Osterhout Stone House. Pretty cool location there. And Franz Kelder originated the Airport Road farm, which is now called Domino Farm. A couple of key facts for you, if you care to acknowledge. Okay, moving on, we have our first application, which is application number 2022-256, which is Harana Market. Ladies. We have our public comment open still. Public hearing is open, so I'll remind the public, for anybody who is interested in commenting on this application, community members who have signed up will be granted between 3 and 5 minutes per person to talk. This opportunity to speak is not a question and answer from the board or the applicant, yet the opportunity to speak about the application and knowledge of the property. Comments should be related towards the health, safety, and welfare of the town of Rochester and the project in discussion. With that being said, we'll open the public hearing for Harana Market. Are there any members?
So when you have something like this, I'm new to this now, so I'm trying to understand the process here. So what are some of the things where people can ask, people cannot ask, and when something like this, where do we hear about it? And is every application open for public comment, or is there something where, for whatever reason, hey, we're closed, we don't open the public comment?
So this isn't really the time to discuss what can and cannot be discussed. Excuse me, let me finish, thanks.
Sure.
What you can discuss on this application, if interested, is you can discuss about the health, safety, and welfare of the community, or interested items about this application. So if you're here to talk about the application, you can you have 3 minutes to speak, and it's not a back and forth, it's not a question and answer, it's basically your knowledge or your history of the knowledge of the community.
And very, very quickly, I'll just add
Sure.
in, it's posted on any piece of public hearing is posted on the front door of the town hall. It is put into the paper.
Shawangunk Journal.
The Shawangunk Journal, the week before, whatever is 5 days before. And anybody that is a property owner within 500 feet of a property does not have a public hearing, gets something in the mail, so they will be the most influenced probably. So that is how you know about it, by the paper, on our website, on the front door, and you're notified if it's not open for public hearing, the public says.
Right, and then there are applications that are on tonight's agenda that do not have public comments. Is there a reason for that?
It's the law.
It's New York State law.
Where can I find the ordinance of that?
You can see me after the meeting and I can provide you that article.
Appreciate that.
Okay, Harana Market, public comment. Is there anybody here to discuss this application? Hi.
Hi. My name's Judy. I live just a couple of miles down the road from where the market is now in
Okay.
the Woodstock area. I met Chris and Eva the first day they opened the market, and they have been just a wonderful addition to our community. Very community minded, welcoming. Their food is great. They run a great business. We'll be very sorry to see them leave our area, but we will drive down here.
Understood.
And folks here will be very lucky to have them as new neighbors and business owners.
Great. Thank you for the comment. Is there anybody else for Harana Market? Yes.
Hi, down the road.
Okay.
In Fascinating for going on 9 years. We used to be very regular patrons, 30 minutes of everything. So I know the space inside and out. We pet sat for Tanya, who used to own it. So I know
Of course.
kind of 3 inches of it. And there was never any issue there with anything with parking or anything. It was such a community space and we miss it for that. And when we found out that this might happen there, we were so delighted to know that it's gonna be in my like house. We knew the guy Woodstock, we've done the opposite many times. We love it. And I'm a proud queer person, and to have the queer community represented here in our home just means so much. And to bring our friends and family there, I feel like the health, safety, welfare of Ashford is to be in such great hands. So we're all in favor.
Great. Thank you for coming. Anyone else to discuss Harana Market?
I know more about it. I keep hearing about it, and from what I heard, what's our game? It wasn't much in the rain, but that's looking forward to that. Thank you.
Yes.
Not sure how far well-being goes, but if it's fiscal well-being, wonderful.
Could you talk up, please?
Sorry. I've been a resident for, gosh, at least 10 years, which is nearly half my life. Third. There's not much people know about our town. It's a blip on the way to somewhere else. When we have these wonderful small businesses, farms that you mentioned, that when their seasons are going, we could use more people coming in. People will make a day trip out of this. People visit all the way to Woodstock. Constantly, I've been one of those people. I've seen the reviews, I've met people and talked to them. We drove here from the city.
Great.
I think it'll be wonderful.
Thank you. Anyone else on Harana Market? Hi.
Hi, I'm Megan Brunwhite, and I live in Cohasset, and I also own the property 2 doors down from where Harana Market is supposed to be, formerly Shelburne Farms. And I'm super excited and very much pro Harana Market, although largely because I think their food is incredibly delicious. I also know that they are very committed to the communities that they're in, to the communities that they belong to, and I mean, I cannot imagine having more conscientious people. Also, like Julia, I used to go to 30 minutes of everything and really miss having that space be a place to meet people and to meet all kinds of people. And I think it'll be a wonderful addition, you know, and God bless them, but I think the food's gonna be a little better than the pizza bar. Also delicious.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, board. Have a motion to close the public hearing. Zach, second. Hang on, I'm making notes, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, great. Public hearing is closed. I do have a draft decision for this application tonight, which I'll pass out for any So I'll take one and pass.
Sure, if I may.
Yes.
I do have a comment. It's interesting. I know somebody who has frequented Hamana and Woodstock and they're very happy with the food. And I think it's interesting that you mentioned during the intro that we don't review the quality of food at any time.
Although frequent flyers, but not reviewers, right?
What we're reviewing under the code, the zoning code of the sale of mattress. So I have no doubt that food would be one of those.
Absolutely.
But it's not on purpose.
Maren, do you mind going through this for
I
us?
would love
Thank you.
to read nothing better than our draft resolution for the decision on Harana Market. So this is the Town of Rochester Planning Board Special Use Site Plan Approval for May 8th of 2023. Decision Planning Board 2022-256 SPA Site Plan Conditional Final Approval. Applicant is Little Buco LLC doing business as Harana Market. The reason for the request is Little Buco LLC, the applicant, proposes a change of use from one family dwelling, enclosed pavilion, and low impact service establishment is a multiple permitted use by 140-8, amending planning board decision of 2018-04 for an SUP SPA to change to a retail market with a grocery and indoor and outdoor seating restaurant, commercial kitchen for takeout, and limited on-site service concept, and a low impact service establishment. Location is 5125 Route 209, Accord, New York. SBL is 76 spot 2-2-49. Total acreage is plus or minus 2.63 acres. The planning board application was 2023-125. That's not copacetic with the one on top.
That's not consistent.
So let's keep it for now with,
256 is correct.
let's keep it with 256, because right now we're using the code of ordinance.
Yep.
256. It is in the zoning district is B zoning. It's in the FD overlay. The AP overlay is located within 100-year floodplain. It's adjacent to the Ulster County Ag District number 3. It contains NWI wetlands, and it is on the Shawanagan Scenic Byway. Code enforcement determination was site plan approval to update the existing approval, which was the 2018-04 that I mentioned. Zoning permit was 23/125, so that's what it should be. Probably. Just make sure we got those right.
Yep, I'm making the notes.
With zoning determination letter dated March 23rd, 2023. Planning board application was filed 3/23/2023. The EAF was filed November 1st, 2022, and it seeker type is seeker type 2 by code. Our special conditions of approval. Now therefore, let it be resolved, the Town of Rochester Planning Board hereby grants site plan and special use conditional final approval for a change of use from decision Planning Board 2018-04 SPSUP and amended decision to Planning Board 2009-05 SPA, permitting multiple permitted uses of a retail market with grocery, indoor and outdoor seating and restaurant, commercial kitchen for takeout and limited on-site service concept. Low impact service establishment. The property is situated at 5125 Route 209, Accord, New York, on plus or minus 2.6 acres. On tax map is 76 spot 2-2-49. It's in the B district, FD overlay district, and AP overlay zoning district for Town of Rochester, and as depicted on the 5-sheet plan set entitled Site Plan Drawings for Harana Market, prepared by Lockwood Architects, dated March 27. 2023 Planning Board submittal number 4 with addendum submitted 4/25/2023, including following plan sheets. To be completed, subject to satisfactory completion of following conditions. The site plan dated March 27, 2023 is including following conditions. Decision Planning Board 2009-05 SPA and Planning Board 2018-04 SPA are declared null and void and are duly replaced with this SUP SPA approval Planning Board 2023-125 application. The project shall comply at all times with all general, commercial, and industrial standards, specifically for noise as defined in the Town of Rochester zoning code, Article 3, Section 140-2F, including that all uses shall not generate cumulative sound levels at or beyond any lot line that exceed the ambient noise level by 10 or more decibels. Any sound of 5 to 10 decibels above ambient noise level shall be attenuated or mitigated. 3, the project shall comply at all times with all comments made by John Riley, permit engineer, New York State DOT, as stated in email memo dated 1/4/2023 to Michael Lockwood of Lockwood Architecture, as on file with the Town of Rochester Planning Board relating to development and maintenance of the ingress and egress of the project. Additionally, the project shall comply with any and all conditions or comments on signage for the New York State DOT. Project shall comply, number 4. Project shall comply at all times with Town Code 140-20H relating to illumination of the property and off-property impacts. And with the March 23rd, 2023 memo by Greg W. Bolner, PE, Principal Associate CPL, Mark Rosso, Town of Rochester Planning Board Chair, including without limitations, a maximum 1-foot candle spillage onto adjacent properties pursuant to code 140-20.H4. All exterior lighting shall be dark compliant. B, directing the light near the southeast corner of the parking lot toward the lot rather than toward the London Creek. C, light spillage on New York State Route 209 is limited also to 1-foot candle or whatever the Department of Transportation may direct, whichever is lower. As per code 140-20H7, all lighting over 2,000 lumens in strength shall meet the full cutoff standards of the Scintillating Illuminating Engineering Society of North America. If any of the proposed lights are over 2,000 lumens, permittee will need to provide a certificate statement from the lighting manufacturer that the lights meet the standard. As per code 140-20H8, all site activity areas, including parking lots and walkways, shall meet minimum ISNA standards and exceed those standards by no more than 25%. The applicant shall provide professional certification that the proposed plan meets these requirements. F, all outdoor lighting shall be in a timer to illuminate at dusk and shut off at 10 p.m., with the exception of required safety lighting illuminating pathways and entrance exits. G, hours of operation shall be Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Friday, Saturday, 9:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. with some seasonal fluctuation permitted. Number 5, the project shall comply at all times with all applicable Worcester County Department of Health requirements, food service establishments, and commercial kitchens, including but not limited to septic system and water supply requirements, and such requirements as expressed by the Department of Health's April 7, 2023 letter to project consulting engineer Barry Mendenbach, PE. The project, number 6, project shall comply at all times with Town of Rochester floodplain development permit requirements, if determined applicable by the code enforcement officer. 7, the project shall comply with the conditions for a waiver of parking stall sizing and number of parking granted by the Town of Rochester Planning Board at the April 12, 2023 meeting. 8, any special events for the subject site are not authorized in this approval and shall require additional application and review the Town of Rochester prior to event.
Okay, we don't need to read the
We do not
general
need to do the general
Or-
conditions.
or the effect, I believe. Actually,
I'll do the effect because that
Yep.
helps with.
Yep. Go ahead.
General conditions are whatever's more restrictive, you gotta follow more restrictive and make sure you file everything. That's the speaking test for.
I'm going to give you all this, by the way.
The owner of the Town of Rochester Planning Board further grants the authority for the chairman to certify conditions. I have XX, which ones do we put in here?
I did a quick, review ahead of the meeting. I suggested from number 1 through 5 be attached to these. Well, this talks about completed as opposed to being attached to the map. Attached comments to the map.
Sure.
Exactly, so we should add that as, why don't we put that as a general? That's really a general condition of correct,
Yeah, I think,
Number 9.
exactly.
yeah, I think it should be number 1 through 9.
And you want to read that 9, Mark?
So 9, the applicant.
Yep.
I'm sort of doing it, freelancing here shall. Right?
Mhm.
Doesn't sound very sexy, but okay. conditions. What numbers, Rick?
I have 1 through 5.
One,
1 through 4 for sure. Number 5 had to do with Ulster County Department of Health.
Yeah, so on the Ulster County Department of Health comments, I did send this application as required, to the Ulster County Planning Board. As you saw in the folder, it is exempt from Ulster County Planning Board review due to it is a pretty similar use.
Okay, so I think
So
on
it already
the map, the only thing that needs to be on the map is comments 1 through 4.
Yep.
Conditions
Okay.
1 through 4.
conditions 1 through 4. On final plan set.
So you're,
So I'm putting that as number 9, the general conditions. So after number 8, the owner's consent block shall be signed and dated by the owner following the date of last revision and prior to the chair signing the plan. 9, the applicant shall write conditions 1 through 4 on the final file plan set. It should be special conditions, not. If we get to special for.
So Eva, Chris, what that means is I'm going to give you a couple of items that Michael needs to add to the final map.
Yeah.
Once you have them, verbiage, come back to me, I'll sign the map, then you can move forward with filing and getting your building permit, the next steps.
The physical copies.
Correct.
and that's the same numbers 1 through 4 that have to be,
Except have to be approved.
have to be done before we.
Right.
And Chair, the only other thing that we left blank.
Yep.
In the where, all the where.
The planning, the parking spots?
Yeah, it should be 10 feet and 9 feet away, so we should fill that out. as
Got it.
10 by 9. That was the exception you asked for.
Exactly.
We didn't fill it out. So we should fill it
Go ahead, Mark.
That means that they're like.
out. I'm sorry, Chair, that's not.
That's, it's 9.
9
We
by
granted a waiver.
18 long by 9 wide.
Right.
And we even citizens.
18 long,
18 long.
9 wide. I'm gonna just list the waiver and I can get that verbiage too. Okay, go ahead, Martin, sorry.
The Town of Rochester Planning Board, so we'll just clarify this, further grant the authority of the chairman to certify special conditions 1 through 4 have been considered without any further resolution and to sign and date the plan at such time. Effective approval, special use and site plan approval and associated cases shall be binding upon the applicant and all successive owners of the land, so long as such uses shall occur. Number 2, this approval shall remain in effect as an authorization to secure the required permits and establish the uses for a maximum of 1 year from the date of approval, unless the applicant shall have submitted written request to the planning board, and the planning board shall have adopted such resolution granting an extension and provide the applicant has submitted proof of having diligently pursued the plans.
I don't think you'll be waiting a year. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's not the same, again, we should talk about, like, he's right, take out special use and site plan.
Where are you? I got it. Yep.
Effective. This is my website, special use.
Yep.
The draft resolution was prepared by the chairman and was read, discussed, and amended by the planning board. But first, we should vote to accept,
I need a motion.
yeah, so I would like to make a motion to accept the, what do they call them? The recommend, county
General,
board does.
what is it?
Oh.
It's official title.
Referral.
239M referral?
Are they required modifications?
No, we are exempt from modifications.
Oh, okay.
Exempt from them reviewing the.
For this project.
Correct,
So on this one, we don't need to do anything.
correct.
Now they have on, so we're okay. So don't have a
It's a-
tavern, we need to.
Correct.
Just want to make sure, or the whole thing will be known.
Okay, so you ready to, are
We
we,
really won't like this.
The only other thing, Chair.
Yep.
But, and it's just paperwork, but
sure,
in the past, our consultants have listed all the documents that we're in receipt of. I just make a recommendation, that have to be added.
yeah, so, as we're in the donut hole, I spoke with the attorney and they were not aware of how detailed we wanted our resolutions. This resolution that we have for this application is legal. It supports what we need to do legally. Although going forward, we will have the materials reviewed comments added going forward.
So I think it'd be advisable just to keep it consistent with everything we've done in the past.
Sure.
Years and years, is just assuming we go forward with the approval,
Mhm.
there's some contingencies, namely the maps be updated with the conditions that have to be on the map. And there's 1 or 2 other things that we just ask our attorney to put all of the documentation so that we have it all there for record purposes. Rather than skip that step. Every decision that we've done for the last
Sure.
8 years has had those documents listed in one fashion. So a little bit more work. But your
And,
consultant has to add things to the maps.
right, there is
There's stuff that you have to do before chair will sign.
Yep.
So you
But
just
there's-
got
there's-
paperwork to do before.
there's also a time frame there, because you have to sign within 5 days.
Yeah, we have a 5-day time frame. So
That's
is
actually
Michael
on
away?
No, they're here.
Okay. Not here, but
They're
here.
physically not
Of
here
course.
physically, yeah, so today's Monday, yeah, they should be 5 days by Friday, we
So
should.
the stuff that they have to do, they can do it whenever.
Correct.
You sign it, but we're gonna make a condition of approval that a list of the documents be added at the end
Of the resolution.
Yes.
of the resolution of the decision, and that's us to do it. That's
Sure.
not Craig to do
The
it.
documents we've already provided,
We already
Correct. We're
provided-
gonna make a list of everything we looked at. A lot of it.
a lot of. papers, yeah.
So I would say on general, I would say number 10 then. So I would add in general conditions,
Well, of course, yeah. Go ahead, Mara, number 10, I'm
would
sorry.
you say the condition on a list of documents reviewed being attached as an addendum at the end?
Council says they will have that to us by the end of the week, so that's great.
Perfect. So
You were in the process of a motion. You want to finish that?
the draft resolution was approved, the chairman, and was read, discussed, and amply amended by the board. Anybody have any more?
Any comments, board? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any
Now
opposed?
you need a motion first to.
You had a motion. I need a second. I'm sorry. I need a second. Thanks, Emily. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Try it again. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay,
There we go.
great news. Woo-hoo. Great. So I will be in touch with you with a laundry list for Michael. Then council will provide us with a list to get this completed. I'll sign this, get it to you. You'll get me your maps and you're on your merry way. I don't know if you have any fees that are outstanding, but I'll check with the town clerk and see if they have anything. I'll let you know.
Great, and that, those maps back to you, that doesn't have to be within 5 days.
No,
so-
this that I have has to be to you within 5 days, and then you have a year. All right,
Not needed, thank you.
thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Michael will know that whole process. Thanks, guys,
Thank you.
appreciate it, absolutely. Okay, Stonehouse Tavern, you're next. Nadine, Al, Linda. Come on up, everybody. Okay, application 20-22, I'm sorry, 2022-483 Stonehouse Tavern, Al and Linda LLC. This is at 4802 Route 209. The public comment is also open for this. I went through the public comment rules. If there's anyone here to speak on the Stonehouse public comment, now's your chance. Raise your hand. Okay, going once, twice, 3 times a charm. I need a motion to close the public hearing. Patrick Martin, second. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, I also have a decision. Yes, our fingers have been busy. On this one. Great. We get one time. Last time. One for you. This one is a little longer in length because we put it on the nice letterhead, so it made it a little.
Just the letterhead.
Just the letterhead, I promise. Okay, public comment closed. We can go over the decision. Maren, you're on a roll. Do you want to keep going?
Sure.
Great. Here we go.
This is decision 2022-483 SPA FDP special use and second approval conditional final approval on May 8th, 2023 of the town of Rutland Planning Board. Applicant is Al Roberts and Linda Bradford, doing business as Al and Linda LLC, site plan special use permit for Stonehouse Tavern, seasonal outdoor dining. Tax map number is 69/3-2-24. The reason for the request is the applicant proposes an expansion of an existing use of the site from a 75-seat restaurant with 2-bedroom apartment, 2 buildings, shed for storage, and a mobile home to add seasonal outdoor dining area consisting of a 900 square foot gravel pad with various tables and chair seating options and food and beverage services from the main restaurant with additional parking required. Parcel within the R2 zoning district, it's HP overlay district, and current use is a grandfathered non-conforming use. Parcel contains pre-existing restaurant and accessory structure and the existing temporary outdoor dining established under the 2021 Code of Emergency Order number 14-2021. It's located at 4802 Route 209. Total acreage is plus or minus 5.7 acres. SBL is 69/3-2-24. And I said, fourth zoning district, R2 low density residential district. It was a type 2 by code for seeker. Code enforcement determination was, wait, that's me checking. It's my lot lines.
Site plan approval.
And it's exactly, special use permit and site plan approval. Zoning permit, 22-483, was zoning determination letter dated April 22nd, 2021. 37 off there. That was.
I'm gonna, go ahead. I'm gonna stop you after you're done with this section.
Yep, planning board application was filed on 11/22/2022. The EAF was filed 11/22/2022. And other agency referrals were also County Planning Board, New York Department of Transportation, the Florida Fire District, New York State Parks, Recreation and Historic Preservation.
Okay, I did get comments back from Ulster County Planning Board that we need to adopt. Review the comments, which was a required modification, which we already had it in our review. So we just need to accept it as proposed by the Ulster County Planning Board reads. The applicant will need to receive approval from the county health department for all necessary permits associated with the expanded use of the property, if not already obtained. We recognize that we're still waiting for that. As you guys are going through you have it?
No,
Oh.
I did get, an email update today from Suffolk
Okay,
Health Department, who says that, that it's in the queue, he started review, and, he hopes to have his review complete this week.
okay. So we recognize it already as something that we want it as a condition of approval. So they're just confirming that, but we do need a vote to accept the required modifications from the Ulster County Planning Board as presented.
That particular requirement of the Ulster County Planning Board.
Say again.
I'll make the motion to accept.
I have a motion from Rick.
I'll second. And it's a roll call vote because we need
Yep.
to have, the supermajority.
Who was my second? Zach? My roll call vote. Vice Chair Williams. Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Jarvis.
Yes.
Ms. Lindstrom.
Yep.
Mr. Pinsky. Ms. Maloney. And
Yes.
Chair Grasso is a yes. Okay, so we have that in. That was important that we did that because we didn't have that on the last application because it was exempt. Maren, continue.
Yes. Thus, it is resolved, the town of Rochester Planning Board grants site plan and special use conditional final approval for an additional use on plus or minus 5.7 acres on the property located at 4802 Route 209. Accord New York tax map 69/3-2-24 and the R2 in overlay zoning district town of Rochester. The site plan dated March 23rd, 2023 is approved with the following conditions. Special conditions of approval. Access for all public and business uses of the property with the exception of emergency services permitted to site plan shall be from entirely New York State Route 209 and shall not be from the private sanitary road. Compliance with all the standards, number 2. Compliance with all the standards of general commercial and industrial standards shall be required. Specifically for noise as defined in the town of Rochester zoning code, Article 3, Section 140-20F. Compliance shall be strictly required, including for all instances of outdoor and amplified music. Number 3, such standards include without limitations that uses shall not generate cumulative sound levels at or beyond any lot line that exceeds the ambient noise level by 10 or more decibels. Any sound of 5 to 10 decibels above ambient noise level shall be attenuated or mitigated. Number 4, enforcement of such attenuation and mitigation measures may include, without limitations, reduction or removal of amplification and or removal of performance or any portion of the property or the property as a whole. Imposition of limitations on the hours of such performances and combinations thereof. 5, the applicant shall install and utilize for any outdoor application, music or other sound or any other generations of outdoor sound likely to be in violation of the noise standards of the town code, the following physical mitigation measures. A, installation and use of acoustical curtains behind and above the locus of music. B, installation and use of sound dampening flooring at the locus of music. C, orientation of the locus of music to project toward Route 209. D, planting of evergreen trees or shrubbery between the access drive to the outdoor area and along the north and northwestern side of the locus of music. E, music shall be limited to seasonal use April through October and shall be permitted solely on Fridays and Saturdays. 6, compliance with comments from the Ulster County Planning Board is provided via review memo referral number 2023-042 and 043 dated 4/12/2023, including Ulster County Health Department approval for the expanded food service operation. We covered that. 7, exterior lighting and lighting plans shall be in compliance with comments received on lighting as reviewed for the town of Rochester by Greg W. Woolner, PE, CPL Architecture and Engineering, in a memo dated March 23rd, 2020. Specifically, as per Town Code 140-28-6, light poles are not permitted to be greater than 25 feet tall. B, as Town Code per 140-2H7, all lighting over 2,000 lumens in strength shall meet the full cutoff standards of the Illuminating Engineers Society of North America. The applicant shall provide a certification statement from the lighting manufacturer that the lights meet this standard. C, as per Town Code 140-20H8, all site activity areas, including parking lots and walkways, shall meet minimum IESNA standards and exceed those standards by no more than 25%. The applicant shall provide a certification that the proposed plan meets these requirements. D, the proposed lighting may not exceed the 1 foot candle maximum at the property line as per 140-28-4. 8, all exterior lighting shall be reduced to 50% or less illumination when the use is closed. All exterior lighting shall be dark sky compliant. 9, additional parking for the outdoor dining shall be limited to the approved 34 spaces. 10, all construction shall be done as indicated on the final plan before a certificate of occupancy shall be granted. 11, ongoing compliance with all conditions for changes, additions, expansions of non-conforming uses and structures as described in the Town of Rochester zoning code, Article 6, Section 140-42A through J.
Hang on just a second. We will add the materials review. Do you want to put that as number 12? Like we did on the last one? What's that?
We can choose which ones, but not everything needs to go on the.
I think it's spoken about.
No, the documentation.
What needs to be on the.
On the resolution.
Or on the plan before it's signed.
Right, so we need it to be in the resolution.
Okay.
So you're asking where to put the requirement that all the documentation be added to this approval?
To the resolution.
Put it on, I would put it on the general conditions.
Okay, general condition. That's the question.
And I would like to make one addition to the special conditions that we forgot.
Go ahead, Rick.
No. And it should follow number 9. 9 is about parking for outdoor dining. Number 10, I'm not sure what the exact wording should be, but remember we said there'd be no parking out front. Currently, there's
Okay.
4 parking spots. I don't remember whether we said there's only going to be 2.
No, there's going to be none.
None.
So number
So we
10,
should say 10.
so you have all construction shall be done as indicated on the final plan for a CO.
That's part of the plan.
That's part of the final
That's
plan.
part of the plan.
And it's actually on the plan.
Yeah.
So I don't think we need anything else.
It's on the plan.
It is.
They're gone, right, on the
Yes.
plan,
Yes.
so,
James said,
On the most recent site plan, yeah.
yeah.
it's eliminated.
Right.
Is there a sign? Is
They're
it
not there
indicated on the plan? No, I believe you, but is it indicated that
Yeah.
there's a sign that needs to go up that says no count, striping or something?
Well, you can see that here, no parking
I can see.
anytime. Right up front.
So we don't need that.
So we added number 12, we're moving on, we're good?
No, we don't add number 12, then we add number 12 becomes number 9
Thank you.
in general, and that is the materials, the documentation reviewed,
We added to the
will
resolution.
be added as an appendix to the resolution.
What we do need to add is that the following special conditions need to be on the map, like we did with the previous one.
Yep.
I would suggest number 1 through 9.
We'll do that on the,
We do that in
the town of Rochester planning board further grants the authority to determine and certify conditions 1 through 9 have been completed without further resolution to sign and date the plot map such time.
and we also have to say, and 1 through 9 is added to the plan,
Got it.
to the map.
So we can put it in there, the town of Rochester planning board for the grants
Yep.
authority, determine certified conditions have been completed and
Items, general comments 1 through 9
added to the plan.
added to the plan. Nadine, you have that?
Special comment.
Yeah, have to discuss.
Have to discuss our-
Yeah. We're just confirming 1 through 9.
With you,
Yep.
and then.
That's great.
Well, anyway, you know, you put the conditions that are already done, then you just ignore them.
Right.
Because you already have them there.
Yes,
Like all of this lighting stuff, is already on.
Already on there.
That's it. It's maybe there's the noise stuff, I think is the only new, because we hadn't decided on that the last time.
The weapon,
The noise.
right.
I
The
think
locusts,
We just, we were patching that out, but all the rest of it. already have. All right,
I'll
so.
put that on that.
Effective approval.
Yep.
The special includes site plan approval and associated conditions shall be binding upon the applicant also says owner of the land, so long as said use shall occur. This approval shall remain effective as an authorization to secure the required permits and establish for maximum 1 year. From the state of approval, unless the applicant shall submit a written request and the planning board shall adopt such resolution granting an extension. And provided the applicant has submitted proof of having diligently pursued the implementation of the plans. And number 3, in effective approval, the owner shall be responsible to return 5 Ocean County Clerk certified copies of the file plat and any other related documents to the town of Rochester planning board within 30 days of filing. The draft resolution was prepared by the chairman and was read, discussed, and amended by the planning board.
Motion, please.
Well, before we make that motion,
Sure.
we usually have a motion to adopt the findings. I don't know if we did it with Ron, but they gotta go back to page.
Well,
3.
I was talking to council on that, and she asked why we have that, and if we need it. So I think what we could do is we can vote to, someone can make a motion to adopt the approval with conditions and
Findings.
the findings.
That's fine.
Okay.
Just get rid of all the other verbiage.
Agreed. Someone, you want to recite that?
I'll make a motion. At the top of the last page, that would change to draft resolution and findings. Draft resolution of approval and findings was prepared by the chairman and was read, discussed, and amended by the planning board.
Thank you. Second, Patrick, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Thank you.
There you go.
You're welcome. Appreciate it, guys. I owe you a receipt, which I have not received from the town clerk yet. I am awaiting it. It's supposed to be here today, but I don't have it. And I will link up with you on these things sometime in the week. Okay. Thank you, Nadine.
I'll be right over here.
Okay. All right, so the next application is Mr. Warsh, but Mr. Warsh, I don't see, where is Mr. Warsh? He was here. There they are. Mr. Warsh, are you guys representing yourself because Bill's not here, or are you waiting for Bill? We can go to the next one and come back.
Bill was coming, but, you know.
Would you like us to go on to the next one and wait for him? Because you're up next. It's your choice. He also has 3 other ones as well, so we could skip to one and then come back if you'd like. If not,
Skip one.
skip one. You got it. Well, no, I can't skip one. He has the next. So I'll skip. You're more than welcome to. We can get you through it. Okay. Only concern I have is, why don't we do this? Why don't we do one application that's not his and then come back to you to see if he's good?
Okay.
How about that?
All right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, So we're gonna table Porsche, Patinkin, Lewis, and Mr. Sweeney is next from Mount Laurel Way. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Sorry to put you on the spot. Maybe get you out of here a little earlier. Okay, next
And then the
application.
other ones, if the applicant is here, they can come,
There, he has a representation letter for all of them.
but they can still represent themselves.
Of course, yes, I don't,
Sitting in the audience.
Warsh, I don't see Mr. Patinkin. Mr. Lewis here, I think he's actually out of state. And yeah, okay, we're
That
good.
takes care of that.
Yeah, we're here. Okay, so this is planning board application 2022-188, which is a 3-lot subdivision. This is from Mount Laurel Way. Mr. Austin Sweeney is our owner, and the representative is Matt Town from Willingham Engineer. Board, if you remember, this application was in front of us this time last year. They proposed a 4-lot subdivision originally. I do have some nice new maps for us. Get those to you. They proposed a 4-lot originally. We asked them to come back to us with something that was more appropriate. They are here with us today. Great. Want to share?
This is the same as the 327.
A couple things that I'd like to just discuss first. Number one, we have not had a recent review from Mr. Church, so if we would like to set escrow tonight, we can do that. That's item number one for discussion. Item number two, I'd like to just mention there is a shared driveway proposal for these lots. Keep that in mind. So we'll go over those items. I'll give the applicant's representative a couple of minutes to speak to sort of get us freshened, and then we can go from there. I don't want to put you on the spot, but is that okay? All right, go ahead, Matt. Take it away.
So it's a major subdivision application called Mountain Laurel Way, called Spruce Hill Road. It's a 34-acre parcel in the R5 zoning district. It's currently vacant and wooded. There's EEC wetlands on the eastern side of the site, and there's poor habitat as well. Austin proposes to subdivide the parcel into 3 single-family residential lots. There's a shared driveway providing access to the lots off Spruce Hill Road. The lots will range in size from 6 acres to 23.6 acres, all larger than the minimum required for the R5 zone. Since the previous submittal, the plan has been revised to eliminate one of the driveway access points. So the driveway where it's proposed, there's an existing logging road. The applicant proposes to place over 29 acres of the site into a conservation easement, preserve the majority of it and prevent any future development. That's over 85% of the site. Additionally, we're proposing a road reservation easement as right now, it's a user road. Extending 25 feet from the center line. That's another 1/4 of an acre. Since the previous submittal, the DEC flagged the wetland and was surveyed. So we have that on here with 100-foot replacement area. Shared portion of the driveway is 16 feet in width. The individual ones are 12 feet. Driveways will be surfaced with gravel. We're proposing a 40-foot right of way that essentially, as I said, follows the existing logging road. And then there's a trail that kind of goes back, a walking path that does the rest of it. Emergency pull-offs every 500 feet. There's going to be maintenance and upkeep of the shared driveway will be deeded to each landowner. Right now we're filling over 2 acres of disturbance, so we'd have to do a speedies permit. And then, yeah, health department obviously would come next.
So you, stop you there. You have answered some of the previous questions that was asked by our previous consultant. We will have our new consultant take a look at it as well, part of our process. Keep in mind that our new consultant will review what was already asked upon. So there's not additional time spent that's not necessary. A couple things that I'll need from you, a checklist if you want to grab a pen and just things that jump out at us in the beginning. First of all, we'll need a shared driveway agreement from your attorney, whoever's drawing that up. That'll need to be reviewed by our attorney. So you can send that as early as now if you're ready, and I can get that over to the attorneys to at least check that box. We will need to set escrow. Escrow for this application will be $2,500. So that can be a check provided from the applicant that can be dropped off to the planning board office. That'll get escrow for our review and attorney and things like that that are going on. There might be some escrow that was in the account previously, and I can check the balance before you write that check to sort of see where you're at. That's what we normally ask on the initial application. So we'll work together on that. So you're board member time. I'd like to just go around the board quickly and sort of start with there. I know that there's been some questions on this application in the past. Recent submittal, where are we at right now? So Patrick, if you don't mind, I'll start with you.
Who's holding the conservation?
We'll determine who that's gonna be.
Landowners, a third party,
Well,
homeowners association.
Yeah, we need to figure that out.
Okay, so to be determined. Okay,
You have lots of choices.
yeah, you do.
The
Right,
one
there's-
that won't do it is the town.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna be in town. Know that.
Patrick, anything else on that topic? No. Okay, Rick.
Yeah, I have quite a few things.
Okay.
It's not. I'm not clear on, and I'll rattle them all off. It's not clear where the wetlands were marked on the map, so I'm not sure what's wetlands, what's not.
Yeah, it's brown stuff.
It's
It's all the way over there. It's all there.
So is the dark colored area?
Yeah.
I have it here, Rick, as well,
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
on the right-hand side.
in your, okay, great. So in your presentation, you mentioned that 85% of the property was gonna be going into an easement, so
Yep.
you're doing more than the wetlands in the easement.
Yeah,
Okay,
oh yeah.
so where is that outlined on the map?
So it's the hatch area. There's a plus sign.
Okay, so that's the
It's kind of-
easement area.
Yeah,
Okay. That answers a great many of my questions. The core habitat probably goes up at least halfway on the column now. The core habitat area covers lots 2 and the one all the way in the back. All of that core habitat. And of course, you can see where the steep slopes are. I have 2 concerns, one with the lot all the way in the back to get to that lot. And I prefer to see you put it in this green area, get to that green area from the,
Right.
yeah, right here,
A little thing.
right here.
So on that topic, Rick, I'd like to, I took some time to review this myself as a member of the board. And I think that your application is a good application. I think that your proposal is right-minded, but I think that for the benefit of a couple of things that are important to the town and the planning board, obviously the conservation, you mentioned easement. Are you saying easement or area? And we'll let you come up with an answer for that in a second. The second thing is, I think that the lots, based on the core habitat, as Rick mentioned, the riparian buffer where the water is, I think the lots could be better situated. I think that, as Rick mentioned, the lot in the back is a bit of a stretch based on the heat map that you've provided and the DEC wetlands that are outlined. Board, I have, this is for your review if you want, I have made a map of what I think would look better, potentially with minimal changes to their application. If you guys would like to see that, I have it. If you want to review that.
I'd like to get their input.
Sure.
I had a few add-ons
Yep.
to what I was, so the area that I'd like to see that third house move to, if you look at your heat map, there's a non-wetland area right here that you could get to third with that home.
And I have that here.
It's flat in that area. The other concern that I have, it looks like what you call right now lot 2 actually has access to the main road. You've got property line going from lot 2 all the way out to the road. Excuse me, I can't remember the name of the road. And I don't see that as being necessary. The access to the road should only be from the shared driveway. So it looks like their property line stretches all the way from the back, all the way up and all the way to the road.
Are you doing that because you want to have 50 feet of road frontage? Is that your goal?
Yeah, it's for road frontage.
Okay.
But you don't need to.
You don't need it.
You don't need
You
it.
might need it for density to get to the R5 zoning density, but you don't need it as a requirement of the town to have 50 feet unless you're going to utilize that portion as a driveway.
You
But
have,
when you're
okay.
doing this, you're creating 2 flag lots, you want to get, that's a whole nother, you can't do that.
the only access that you've indicated here, and I agree with you, is that shared driveway.
Yeah.
You don't need additional access for any of these lots onto the main road. The shared driveway, according to our code, gives you access.
Right.
It's a flag lot, we don't like them, so that's, and, you know, we can play around and read.
Well, it isn't just that we don't like them, there's 2 flag lots there, because the other one flagged in also, and we're not allowed to flag.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. You can't flag a flag, so we're flagging a flag here, so the flags have to go.
And then in the spirit of putting that third lot that's all in the back right now, right smack there in the fourth habitat area, putting it over here in this flat green area, bring the shared driveway only up to the property line of lots.
2 and 3.
Lots 3 and 2. You don't have to bring it all the way back to that lot way in the back. It's more clearing of trees, it's more invasive to whatever's back there, and it's more destruction of the core habitat. So I know that the chair drew something up now.
And we don't have to go over, I'm mentioning exactly what you say. One up front, one where it currently is, and then slide that one on the other side.
And Lauren's right, I didn't even see that. It's 2, we don't allow a flag on top of the flag. So you don't need any flags, you got the shared driveway. Now, who owns that? Whose property you make that going over? That's,
The property owners.
you figure that out.
Right,
If you
that's
can
your.
make it lot free, you can make it.
But no matter what the way it is right now, because if you have to twist it to follow the old Woods Road, there'd have to be right of ways because everybody's sort of back and forth on it, so. If you deflag and then make that one, I don't know if you can, if it's conceivable, if it's one of the, we should probably walk the land at some point, if it's, I mean, we might be bushwhacked to walk the land at this juncture. But if you could swing the back, the farthest back house, it's on the right, up in the front where Rick showed it on the flat part that is there. And then that
Just over
means
here.
you just jigger around your conservation area, have a little bit more of that third house squad, the one that's on the left side. The other 2 can stay the way they are, they're a nice small flat
Flat area.
area.
So ultimately, I think the consensus seems to be that this lot here,
Those are fine over there,
The ones on the left with. I
and the
think
left
are
are fine.
That one all the way in the back.
back needs to
Go
go
way
here.
up in the front. There.
Agreed.
And it'll get more room because the flags have to get gotten rid of anyway.
You could share that, what you currently have is 2 flares, you can share that between lot 3 and the new lot that we're suggesting up on the right-hand side there.
Right.
And have most of the shared driveway going through lot 3, I guess, I'm not sure, but.
Yeah, I agree. So that's where we're at right now. That's gonna be your minimal destruction for the core habitat, sets you away from the riparian buffer, gives you still the 1 curb cut, which is what we're looking for on the shared driveway. Still need the shared driveway agreement. Zach, did we miss anything?
No, I would like to see lot 3 brought up to the front as well. I also see what threw me off in the map was you have both a conservation easement and a conservation area.
Right.
I feel like it should be either one or the other.
Or both.
Or
You
both.
can do both,
Yeah.
but they're 2 different things.
Should be determined.
Okay, that's fine. You could bring us back whatever you want to move
Yeah.
forward.
This is conceptual.
Yeah, exactly.
Good, Zach.
That's all.
Maren, sounds like you're
That was the
all
same thing I
set. Zorian,
said.
anything we missed?
You do easement and area, or you do all easement, or just do all
We're
area?
gonna keep
or-
her options open.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't see limit of disturbance on the.
A limits of disturbance?
Yes, they are. Which part there?
It's on there.
Okay, and what about the distance from house to conservation area, like 100 feet?
We don't need, we don't
From the house.
require that. Most of them are pretty far.
It's at scale.
It's in scale.
Well, and it's-
You're probably 500 feet. That's it, Zorian. Anne Marie, we probably hit everything, but
My questions say that Patrick has.
okay. Yeah, so the conservation easement and area is a topic of concern, so we want you to decide what, we're not gonna tell you what we think We want you to decide what you want, whether the landowners are gonna own it, whether the, well, not the town, but a third party is gonna own it, whatever those.
The main thing is just moving this lot over here.
That's what it sounds like, yeah. And configuring the driveway so that whether that shared driveway goes in and then the individual driveways break off, or you're gonna run it all the way back and then have one or two come off of it from there. That preference, however you guys like it. If you're gonna live there, you might wanna adjust it accordingly.
No, I mean, I think my only concern is that green area there. I'll go walk it again, but it did seem, it's kind of a low lying area. It is a little bit wet over there and that kind of drains down into the weeds, the EC wetland area.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll walk it
You
again.
could be right, because if you look at the DC, EAF map or whatever it's called, that's like a possible wetland also, even though they tag it or whatever.
Right.
So you do have some wet land there, so it might not, we might not be able to do that because it could be wet.
You may have to move it up further into the.
And I believe if I remember correctly, your original application, was one forward in the original application?
It had one in this area.
So maybe that's a potential opportunity to get any Board of Health. Have you been any there?
We haven't done that.
Okay.
So maybe, yeah, if we do soil testing.
Sure.
You know, we could- since you guys are pretty good with these two, we could.
Yeah.
Check over here.
Okay.
Verify.
Chair, I recommend that we also schedule one next month, a walk.
Okay.
With our consultant.
Okay, why don't we do that now? Yeah, why don't we do that now? Actually, well, I'll send a couple of dates that work and then you guys can get back to me. We'll do it that way. So Mountain Laurel, so you guys have you flagged anything besides the DEC area that's been flagged? Have you flagged potential home sites or any of those items?
We have, it's a little hard to see, especially this time of year, and we also have kind of flagged the walkway.
So what we would like to see is where the proposed shared driveway will be, where the proposed home site's gonna be, and sort of the boundary lines. So what we'll do is I'll reach out to you guys. I'll give you a couple of dates. We will need you to be there. There'll be a stage of meetings, of site visits as we call it, where the board will come in sections. So you'll walk the property, show us what you are proposing. We can take our notes, come back to the meeting, and then another group will come as well. So we should be at 2 groups, potentially 3. That's for quorum reasons, so you're aware. So I will get some dates for a site visit.
Chair, does it matter? It's the voting, the quorum is around the voting people. What about our consultants? Can they be add-ons and not?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm talking 3 board members and all the. Okay. Right. We can do that too. Okay, anything else, board members?
No, that's it.
Applicants?
You guys
Okay.
did great work. We've come a long way.
We'll see you, by email based on our site visit. And we'll prepare to be there. Is June okay for you guys out there? All right, thanks, guys. Okay, Mr. Warsh, let's go on. Come on up. Yeah, thanks. Okay, so Mr. Warsh, we have a public hearing scheduled for today to discuss your application. This is application 2023-029. The applicant is David and Claudia Warsh. The representative, Mr. Eggers, is not here. I need to read the public comment. For those of you who are not here for public comment earlier. Yeah. Good idea. That's a great idea, actually. Good idea, thanks. Here we go.
Question on this, we typed this already?
We need to type it. Yep. We're gonna type it, and we'll review the part 2 and go from there. And we need a roll call vote.
The secret.
Do we have maps for this? Yes, I do. I have hot off the fresh maps from Mr. Eggers. Do we know if Bill is coming?
I didn't speak with him. I
So
assumed he was, but
every day.
Does anybody know if Bill is coming? Because he's all stacked up today. Okay, I have the maps.
Motion.
Thank you.
type this as an unlisted, uncoordinated. Speaker.
Okay, motion on the floor to type the Warsh application as a unlisted, uncoordinated action. I have a second from Rick. All in favor?
All in favor of the roll call?
Roll call.
All in favor of the roll call?
Do you want to do, let's do a, let's go through the.
You should type it first.
Type it first?
Yes.
Okay, roll call, here we go. Pat, Mr. Vice Chair Williams? Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Jarvis?
Yes.
Ms. Lindstrom?
Yep.
Mr. Pinsky?
Yes.
And Ms. Maloney?
Yes.
And Mr. Grasso is a yes. Okay, we have agreed that this is an unlisted, uncoordinated type. We are going to go through the part two quickly, and I'll read them. Here we go. Number one, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? No or small impact. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of the use of land? No or small impact. Will the proposed action impair the quality or equality of the existing community? No or small impact. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? No or small impact. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? No or small impact. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably avoidable energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No or small impact. Will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supply or public and private wastewater treatment utilities? No or small impact on both. Will the proposed action impair the quality or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No or small impact. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources? No or small impact. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No or small impact. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No or small impact. So based on those results, I'd like to make a motion that we move this as a negative declaration.
So
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? I need another roll call. Mr. Williams?
Yeah.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Jarvis?
Yes.
Ms. Lindstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Pinsky? Ms. Maloney?
Yes.
And Chair Grasso is a yes. Okay. So we have a negative declaration. We've done all the roll call votes the rest of the night. Huh? I know.
Always one lurking.
That's right, always. And I think that's it. Where do you want to go with this next?
Yeah.
We'll open the public hearing?
Yep.
Okay.
There you can.
Is anyone here for the public hearing on the Warsh application? This is located at 145 Upper Cherrytown Road in Kerhonkson. Yes,
Published as a.
it was. It was published on the website and in the paper. Anyone going once, twice, 3 times the public hearing?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
I have a motion to close the public hearing. Second from. Were you guys trying to get something in there?
No.
Okay. I have a second from Anne Marie. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Unfortunately, I do not have a decision for you tonight, which we will do at the next meeting. I will get that to you guys, and you will be first on the agenda next month's regular meeting, which is June 14th, I think. Don't quote me, but I'll get you on that agenda. Okay, and we'll let you know.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, I have, has anybody shown signs of Mr. Lewis, Mr. Patinkin? Anybody else from Bill Egger's office? Bill, where are you?
Does anyone have his phone number?
I wish I did. Are you guys here for the Lewis? No, okay. Mr. Frank, Mr. James, it's your turn. Wildlands Holding Company, Planning Board Application 2022-187. Board, if you remember, we asked for an array of conditions. It's right there. Yep. We asked for an array of conditions which the applicant has supplied us with. at the applicant's request, they asked for us to review these items, go over them, sort of check all them off the box. They realize they are waiting for the archaeological study, which is okay. We'll get forward and move forward with what we have today. And that's where we're at. So Bob, you want to tell us where you want to start?
Well, the revisions I made, besides waiting for the archaeological report, which I've been told will be available by the submittal date for the June meeting at the
Will
latest.
be available by the June meeting?
Yeah, by the middle of the day.
Okay,
I revised the acreages and the property lines.
I saw that. Thank you.
The legend, bulk requirements, disturbance areas, and the shared driveway.
Thank you. Council, have you guys reviewed the shared driveway agreement? I know that I sent it last minute. I don't know if you guys. Okay, so we'll have that. That's okay. I know you guys submitted an original one to Mary Lou. She said that she did not charge you to review that. Thank you. So council will review that and get us some comments back on the shared driveway. Dave, did you get a chance to look at it? Any objections on shared driveway?
Oh, no.
Okay. Okay, so Bob, we're gonna go to the consultant's comments. That's okay?
Let's see comments from David.
5-4. Yep. So board, we are reviewing in the file the 5-4 comments from Mr. Church, our consultant. I'll skip to Dave, do you have these with you?
Yep.
Okay.
That's what Dave will do.
Dave, why don't you take it away?
Okay.
Tell us what
so
page we're on.
When it got revised to 4-lot subdivision, it's not referable to the county anymore.
That's correct.
Seeker, you have to do parts 2 and 3 before you can set a public hearing.
Okay. We're not ready for that because we're still waiting on architectural, but that's, archaeological. Thank you.
We also still have to get some grading.
Mhm.
We can't answer.
I believe we have comments back from CPL.
He still had questions.
What's that?
I read it and he still has some.
Okay, I have
questions.
not
Most
sent
of them
them.
answered.
I have not sent them out yet.
So as one of the new people, you want me to take a crack at part 2 and 3, or are you gonna do that yourself?
We'll do that ourselves when the time comes.
Nah, I like it. I think it's a great
What is
idea.
input?
If he takes a crack
Okay,
at 2 and 3 and then or they take a crack at 2 and 3 and
Okay.
then we.
review their recommendations.
They're way better at it in my.
I agree.
opinion,
I'm
and
good
we
with that.
say we don't
Any
agree.
objections, board, to that? Sure.
Have you decided the type yet?
You have not typed it yet.
Okay, well, may want to do that before. Well, you have to have this hearing on a subdivision after. Oh, okay. But I'm just saying.
Backwards.
Before you proceed with the seeker, I mean, we know it's not a type 2.
Of course.
So, and we have an FEAF, so I guess it doesn't matter. Either.
Saying go ahead and type it.
No, we don't want to type it yet.
All right.
No, we're not ready to type it. We haven't received anything back from the archaeological study that could require additional information based on what came back from
You can
SHPO.
still type
Well,
it.
it's still type it.
But what's the advantage of typing it now?
There's no reason to really type it right now.
Right.
because We're gonna have to tweak it later.
Exactly, I agree.
I sort of like, personally, I like to do them closer because then everybody remembers and then
I assume it's unlisted. I don't.
it's
Even
gonna
if-
be on, it's
even
gonna be
if you
unlisted.
get a
It's
response from archaeologists, it's still on this.
gonna be unlisted and coordinated
It's
probably.
just gonna be your, it's possible there'll be a potentially significant environmental impact, but it would still be unlisted.
But it doesn't meet any of the type 1 criteria.
No.
No,
Okay, all right, that's
no,
all.
it
I
doesn't
didn't
mean
know that.
anything.
Okay.
Go ahead, Bob. Dave, sorry.
Oh, okay, SHPO, which you've been calling the State Historic, Office of Parks, Recreation, Historic Preservation. It's the State Historic Preservation.
That's what they have in their.
We have a memo.
Yeah, literally.
Do the survey, where you can have a professional say it's already disturbed, and there's no problem. Either way, the board needs that from a professional. They could be the man sitting next to you, perhaps. Northern long-eared bat, luck of the draw, a month and a half ago, it got relisted as endangered, which according to the state guidance, and I talked to somebody there, the seasonal cutting rule is gone. You now have to confer directly with DEC. It was threatened, more significantly now listed as endangered. So I think all you have to do is, whether it's one of you, or the guy that did the habitat study, just have a conference with, EEC environmental permits and tell them what you're doing, and they'll tell you what you can do. Okay? And they might just, Michael, reaffirm it, cutting that season, you know? But you can't assume that anymore.
Right.
Okay, are
So,
you following me?
yeah, as a quick question there, so we should put as a condition that they must confer with the DEC. see
Right,
what
and
they
wait,
do.
I guess we would need something back in,
Or any, something in writing that the DEC says you're fine, or you just do the time period, or we'll need at some point something verifying that they're following whatever the DEC says, and then we'll contact them.
Right,
when you're
right.
with-
Well, there's wintering and other occurrences. There's also proximity to where they hibernate. So with the consultation, I guess now with DEC is they'll narrow down what kind of site this is and if there's any impact and whether they have to advise on tree cutting or not at all.
So as another quick, what this is first.
So it digs a little deeper as opposed to a presumption that as long as you only cut mature trees and those.
so since this is new to everyone.
Yeah.
Would you, require that a letter was provided by them after the consultation?
That would be fine. I'm comfortable with your professional putting his license on the line.
Sure.
That he's consulted with the DEC.
Okay.
Okay. If the board is.
Yeah, that,
I'd still rather put something on the map,
I would like to have something on the map, yeah, but I don't know if we need something in writing from the DEC.
because the whole problem, once again, is these guys could be right doing it, but you grant this, if the next person who finds it doesn't see it in that, they might not be so great, so you always put it there that you need.
Agreed.
Right.
Who's writing this note? DEC?
The advice, which is fluid, I'm told, because this just happened, you basically got to call environmental permits at DEC.
It almost sounds better to be threatened than.
Bob, isn't that around the corner from you? It's go knock on the door.
New Paltz.
Yeah, they won't see you like.
You have to contact them, they in turn will contact the Heritage Program and decide if it's, you're in, there are any documented sites, and that'll affect within.
We could thank Rosendale.
I think within a mile. And then if there are, it may affect what the advice you do.
Right.
But, and it may lead to the same thing where you're at before. Seasonal tree cutting, right? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
That's that. Historic resources, your Historic Preservation Commission went out to the site and commented. You can set a public hearing once you believe the application is complete and you've gone through the seeker process. The fire department is satisfied. There's space for emergency apparatus. You'll still need the highway superintendent review. The engineer.
I did send this to him. He had no comment.
Okay, that's official?
Yeah,
Okay.
he said, do I need to respond if I have no comment? I said, no.
He could get some discipline and.
It would be nice if he would write a letter, yes.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying is not.
Well, or say that into the minutes, I
Yeah.
guess, right? You've had engineer comments on 3 occasions, and you've got a most recent memo. How are you feeling about the most recent comments from
CPL.
CPL?
Well, the one thing they, CPL loves asphalt, we don't like asphalt, so comment number 7, where they say, proposed asphalt pave the first 15 feet of the common driveway, in agreement there, because you could have multiple people. Then they say, the highway superintendent may wish for the first 15 to propose lot number 1 drive to be asphalt paved or both. I say no to that.
Agreed.
And obviously our highway superintendent has something to say.
Yeah, we're not gonna asphalt it, just the first 15.
Correct, first 15 feet.
But for the single house, you don't need anything.
Yep. Okay.
My other set thought in this is there's some more grading that needs to be. Grading is Serbo-Croatian.
On what portion, Mark?
Obviously,
Do we want to go over these separately or we want to go over them?
What's that?
CPL's coming.
Well, we're gonna finish his comments, then we'll go over CPLs. Yes, thank you.
And then you have 6 comments from your wetland environmental consultant in the memo. I think you discussed those before, right?
Yes.
Yeah. There's only one I think that hasn't been addressed.
So.
I
there's
think
no
they were all
cap.
addressed, Mark. Which one we're missing?
What about, or I haven't seen anything that clarifies from CPL, that there's the one driveway, there's the one location where there seems to be flooding. That he said, I have to pull up his comments.
There's a detail of.
It's one of those abandoned, lot that they're no longer using.
I didn't see what either the. Where is, you got enough data in here, do you know which number it is?
Dave, do you know what we're still outstanding from Bruce?
From Bruce.
I
I'm
don't-
trying to get the.
I don't
memo.
think we had anything.
I didn't think there was.
I didn't think there was anything left.
Bruce. In fact, the
From-
memo, I thought as I recall, the memo documented being out in the field with Bruce, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
And
from,
reconciling those issues, right?
from Bruce Barber.
Yep.
Bruce Barber, she's going back to CPL, right?
No, right here I'm on Bruce Barber. So
Okay.
Bruce Barber's wetlands, we're all cool on that. That, everything. Steep slope area, planning board may consider protecting the steeply sloped areas from further tree cutting or land disturbance to reduce the potential for erosion and sediment introduction of the wetlands. I have not heard that we address that we want to do that or don't want to do that. If we say there shall be, if we put as a condition of approval, that the steep sloping areas, future tree cutting or land disturbance shall not be allowed. That's one. Driveway, lot 3 driveway. There's an area of the proposed lot 3 driveway which experiences periodic concentrated runoff from areas located uphill to the south. Runoff flows over a large rock cliff and to several crossover pipes under the driveway. Item number 4 was noted to be recently installed in this area due to an apparent washout. It is suggested in this area, and the design of the runoff conveyance system be reviewed by the planning board engineer to prevent further loss of integrity to the driveway, which would prevent access of emergency vehicles and result in sediment disposition of wetlands. I just don't know.
We did that.
You did that? So do we have something from CPL
We're not
saying?
cutting on steep slope.
We haven't got to CPL's notes yet. Let's finish on.
Well, this says we must refer to CPL, so I just want to know if CPL said, yes, it's fine now.
I don't
Because,
see anything from CPL.
and I didn't see anything from CPL, so when you have CPL to say, yes, everything he's done is fantastic and it takes care of the problem.
Okay. I was assuming that in his comment that he just submitted, that was in there.
I did not see that in the comment that he submitted.
That was May 3rd, May 30 submitted, and there's nothing in there
Right.
that says whatever was done to mitigate the water flow over there. It's
So
done with them.
we
It's
covered,
it's not like Greg to miss that.
so we covered the bats, they're fine. We covered Shippo, they're fine. We were all fine on the only things were there with this driveway issue that I did not see any.
Okay, hang on, go to CPL number 9. Grading is only provided for approximately 100 feet of the overall 1,600-foot driveway for lot 3. Grading and drainage control plans should be provided for the full length of the driveway for lot 3, and grades should not exceed 15%.
So we don't have it.
That's correct.
We don't have an answer.
Do we want to talk about that now?
Sure, we're on it. Go ahead, Bob.
There is no grading except for down by the culverts and into the house, the last 100 feet or so. There is no other grading.
Okay, so he's saying that you've only provided about 100 feet. You're
Right,
saying
but
that
there is
is no
grading.
other. Okay.
So you're just going with the natural contour.
Yes.
All right, so I think the comment from Barbara, who's our wetlands coordinator guy, had to do with the washout from the water
Yeah,
flow.
and we addressed that drainage. There
Okay.
will be some grading there from
So-
there to the house.
And that's in the 100 feet that you've already provided.
But we haven't had CPL go out there and confirm what they've done to resolve that.
We haven't done anything.
I haven't done anything
Haven't
yet
done
because
anything.
it's not
We have
approved.
plans. I'll let you put it.
Yes.
That's in the.
Yeah, and
in
then
the last
his
submittal.
comment, CPL's comment was that I already gave him a 50 scale blow up, now I want a 20 scale blow up.
Well, I've less worried about if he needs binoculars or not and look at stuff, but it was more, did we address that area that had that problem? So you're 100
But
foot,
he's not done with his review.
or he's not done with the review. So I guess there's another.
So I need to alert him to what we need him to do because his eyes is done.
So you, the 3 of you probably, you
Sure.
two and me should have one more and church. And have probably one more coming to God to make sure that everybody's okay on. Because that was the only thing I saw, just to make sure that we're not gonna sweep someone's house away, not the road to somebody else.
Bob, I'll schedule a call with Greg. Anybody else we need on there? Dave, I'll add you. Bob, is there, I mean, it sounds like it's gonna be a quick call because you're already mentioning that what you provided is the only grading that you're proposing. Does that sound accurate?
Right.
And everything else is pretty much the same.
I agree.
So, Chair, I think
Yes.
map 2 of 4.
Uh-huh.
Bob has provided some detail, I believe, for that lot number 3. What kind of baffles, the size of everything. That's what CPL hasn't reviewed.
Right.
Is
So
that,
they wanted a 20 scale blow up of it.
So can you send me a 20 scale so I can send it to him?
Yeah.
That might be why he didn't review it.
all right. So that's the only thing.
And I'll get a call scheduled, Bob,
That's the only thing.
to go over that. Okay.
That's pretty much.
Otherwise, sure, you feel good. Board, any issues, problems? Victoria? Sure.
First, I noticed when field radius from well to leach field, is that basically up to applicant to do that, or in the code doesn't specify anything, doesn't say anything?
I don't see any comments from CPL on that. I don't see
So-
That's Department of Health.
Department of Health.
Yeah, I understand, but some,
You want to see the circle around it?
I don't see, I was saying in the past, applicants showing there and we will okay, and
So Bob, what Zorian is asking is on your next submittal, which will probably be, hopefully not soon. So I don't want you to do 2 or 3 more.
Just one.
It's just one, is to where you outline the well. Can you put the 50-foot on a circle that goes around?
100.
I'm sorry, 100-foot circle
To leach
to
field.
outline to the leach field for all lots. That is something we've asked in the past. Thank you, Zorian. Anything else, Zorian? Anne Marie, Zach, Rick, we're good, everybody? Okay, so 3 things. Archaeological, we're waiting for. You're gonna contact DEC on the bats. Thank you, Rosendale.
Well, Mike Nowicki's going to.
Yeah, even better. And Bob, I'll get a call, Mike, Dave with Greg. Okay,
On the last bit of.
on number 9, yeah, hopefully that'll be a quick one. So now I won't see you guys. I'm not gonna put you on for June unless I get the archaeological stuff. Because I don't think there's anything reason to come back at this time. Okay? Okay. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks, Bob. Okay, going once on Medmark and Eggers, Alex Lewis, Tinkin.
They're past the 70.
They're past the time. You're done for the night. Okay, Ines, Nadine, come on. Let me get this, here a little bit. Nadine, give me a minute.
This is the gift that you keep giving to me.
Okay, so
Just make your mind.
this application is 2023-167, which is Innis New York LLC. It's located at 10 Bank Street. Board, for your information, this is a site plan amendment. They would like to amend their current site plan, which was approved in the past, and they'd like to propose the addition of a utility barn. I am told by the applicant that there's nothing, no parties, no events, nothing. This is going to strictly be for tractors and equipment and items for storage.
Do we have the map?
We do have maps. Where? I have no idea. Okay, these 2 are not. This is, you are on. Nadine, you only have 2 maps you can.
Full size, that she should have at least.
Okay, never mind. It should be necessary.
I have been obeying the regulations.
What do you guys need?
I'm
You don't
fine.
need to. Door here, pass it to Sonia.
Okay.
Now you know on that.
Okay, Nadine, how about 2 minutes? I'm not interrupting you, I promise. And I'm not lying. Go.
So everybody is familiar with the MS site plan approval that was done originally in 2017, 18 for the resort and complex. So part of that complex was the utility area as you come up Bank Street to the right before you get up the hill to the restaurant. So in that utility area, there's extra parking, there is the utility barn, there's some other a concrete slab and things like that. Well, they decided that they actually need a little bit more storage and utility area. So they're proposing to add a 30 by 60, 1-story, 20-foot high utility barn building, so that's 1,800 square feet. Right at the edge of that existing parking area. This area was already investigated for any archaeological or any other areas. There's no wetlands or floodplain, there's no anything in this particular area. They're not proposing any additional lighting, no additional driveway. They're going to come into the existing parking lot, and that building is going to go right on the end. So we have not even a tenth of an acre disturbance to construct a slab to put this building on the slab.
And you're not gonna be holding parties in.
No party, no.
Tractors.
This is totally their like dining house.
The golf ball collector from the driving range.
They have a party bar, yes, they have all of the pools, they have everything else. So I'm just gonna, tell you on the next sheet, on sheet 2, there's a blow up of what's happening
Yeah.
right in that area. So that makes it a little more clear. So what we're, looking for this evening is, because seeker was done, in full for the original application, and this building is less than 4,000 square feet. We're asking the board to type this a type 2 action and to schedule a public hearing or wait for public hearing if you see fit.
So
Okay, board?
I just have 2 things. then.
Sure.
My suggestion is you're an owner or your attorney, talk to the IDA, for making changes to the plan that the site has an inducement.
Right.
It probably doesn't affect it, but you want to stay in good graces with them. Don't make any changes.
Yeah, they've had a lot going on with the IDA, so.
So just
Sure
let
enough.
them know
Mm-hmm.
with a specific question, do they need anything else and does anything change?
Okay.
And my only other comment is actually just intelligence from the neighbors who go there. The main parking lot, which I guess is what's marked as gravel.
No, this isn't it.
This is the utility area, you mean?
The restaurant's too expensive.
So you turn around the maintenance area and go.
It's not quote unquote striped. The handicap is not marked, there's not. What we had agreed to on the map, things have not been marked in any part. So just
I will
mention it to them. Oh, that's true. I
say
didn't check
that
out.
when they were constructing that, they had conversations directly with the building department as far as the surfaces. We had shown originally on the site plan that all ADA spaces be a macadam, some sort of bituminous cover and the ADA walkway, but they made their own arrangements with the building department, so.
Isn't that state law that it has to be, ADA has to be macadam along with the.
I do know that
walkway?
a travel way, this has to be a compact, smooth surface. So I know that you can, not like gravel, like a parking area, that you can have like, keystone. But again,
Dave, do you know?
that has to be up to the building
I
department
actually
as
ate
part
there
of
once.
their,
I ate there a month ago with my daughter, who's actually an expert in this ADA stuff, because the 2 van accessible ADA spaces are not compliant.
Yeah.
Not even close to being compliant a month ago.
yeah,
So,
and again.
so you're saying that the
we-
hang on, building department has,
It's their purview.
okay,
It's their purview.
can you get me something from the building department that says that
That's
it's?
on their existing use that I don't know whether they have a C of O for or not.
Okay,
And the building department obviously saw this because they did their zoning and sent it to you.
sure.
The
So,
whole area of ADA is very confusing, so it could be just an education. I would recommend, Chair, that we send the building department a note that just says, hey, you can't upturn ADA state law, you can't make an exception to it, if in fact that's the case.
Well, I would like the
Well,
applicant to,
It is building code, so it is technically the purview of code enforcement.
right, so I would,
So they can have whatever
correct,
they
the code
want.
enforcement officer needs to provide something to you or the board or both stating, A, it is compliant as it is, or B, it needs to be revised based on being non-compliant. What?
Some folks are gonna give
Well, all of this, guys, is just,
You're gonna stay away from,
exactly, this could be just the planning board says something totally unrelated to this application.
Sure.
We should sort of drop this
Yeah.
and maybe bring it up
Yeah.
afterward, this has nothing to do with meetings.
Yeah, and I appreciate that
application.
because, yeah, you know, we get the letter from the zoning
This
office.
is got, this is, if we see anything, the planning board, we can write a letter about we want more trees with purple flowers on it or
So what do you
whatever.
propose that the planning board takes any action on this?
Let's do this afterward, let's finish everybody
Okay.
and in our other discussion.
Sure.
Not now, it was
Okay.
now.
Fine.
Thank you.
Good point, but.
You know, again, I'm not saying it is compliant or not compliant, I'm saying that's the
Understood.
building department issue.
Okay.
No, I have a comment that's announced. We do require, landscaping plan on a review like this, and could you put the trees, a bit of what's there? This is sort of, now we're adding more stuff in the maintenance area is what I'm thinking. There are people who have houses across the street. Bank Street goes, it's a weird entrance, as you know. You go through people's houses. If they're going to keep expanding this area where you're having the rototiller, the excavator, the tractors, I think it would behoove the planning board to maybe suggest we can increase the setback, or way past the setback, they're way
Yes.
beyond, so we
Agreed.
can't do anything there. We can make berms, that's ridiculous. And we can ask for landscaping or stockade fence or something. If maybe you guys could think of something that would help screen a bit
Yeah,
from the
I do
houses.
believe there is a tree line on that side of the access
I think
drive.
there's a little
between-
bit, right?
So I will find out what that is, photograph, I can add that to the plan.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
just add that, I just want to make sure if they're gonna start expanding there, the people across the street don't end up looking at the maintenance.
Sure, yeah.
And my other thing on that one, which I don't personally think we need, but we ask for a rendering for structures. I don't know if we really need a rendering.
Nadine, you
for it
mentioned
yet.
the size. Can you say that again? It was 30 by
It's 30 by 60 and it's 20 feet high.
gambrel roof? What are you doing?
And I believe it's just gonna be a prefab
Oh,
metal building. I don't think it's anything special.
I don't think we need renderings. I don't believe we do.
I don't think, I think a shed is gonna be. a
So does the
shed.
board feel comfortable with, like we have in the past, if Nadine submits these proposed new drawings prior to the cutoff date, we would set the public hearing? Does that seem sound?
Yep, I
sound
think if
good?
you just get some idea of the landscape.
Anne Marie?
What we need to ask for.
Yeah, my only concern would be lighting because it's so close to the people that live there, like the lighting, if we have some sort of lighting plan that would.
So there's existing lights in this parking area and there's no other expansion of the lighting. There might be a light, the doors on the other side that faces the parking lot, not the neighbors. There might be like a man door light, but that's the only light. There's no
Okay.
more site lighting proposed.
So I'm okay with the public hearing is.
Sure. So I have a motion
Wait,
to, say again?
Speaker.
Yes.
We're gonna, yeah, as council mentioned in our previous applications, this is not a change of use. We will keep this as a type 2,
it's because it's smaller than
Yeah,
4,000 square
4,000
feet.
square
and we don't have to vote on that. That is law. So we're good with type 2 on your.
We don't have to vote on it
We
at
do
all.
not.
It just is.
It is.
Okay.
It stays, it is already a type 2 and it
So
will
we
continue.
in the minutes that the board has typed this a type 2.
Yeah,
sure.
I'm just gonna keep saying it.
Yep.
All right.
Nadine, it's a type 2. You're welcome. Okay, the next thing, so I have a motion on the floor from Rick, which states, in the event Nadine provides the updated renderings and drawings as not renderings,
Not mine.
updated items as requested from the board.
Ready landscaping.
There you go. We will set this for public hearing, for the regular June meeting. I have a second, hang on, I gotta write something. I have Rick, because I'm the one doing this. Rick and Patrick, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Nadine, you're out of here.
I know.
And run before we change our mind. Okay, we are moving right along. What's next? Mr. Banner?
No.
Great Blue Heron Properties? Good night, thank you.
We coordinate.
This is application 2023-196. The application is from Great Blue Heron Properties. The representative and owner is Alex Banner. This is at 2919 Lucas Turnpike. Those of you familiar, you guys want my maps? And that's it, yes. Sorry. For those of you familiar with this, this is an application that has a site plan approval already. This application is to amend the site plan and add a sawmill to the site plan. Board, for your familiarity, this is an EEO approved designation and does require a site plan amendment for the addition of the site of the sawmill. Mr. Banner, I went through a lot there, but maybe I missed something. Can you give me a minute or two and spiel sort of on what you're proposing?
Sure. We have this commercial property. We bought it about 5 years ago. It supports small businesses. I own wood shop that's in the building. We've gone through the town board to get approval, gone through secret through the town board. There's a small area at the bottom part of our property that's a little under a half acre that we're proposing to essentially just put gravel on. The sawmill is a portable style sawmill, like what's towed behind a car. And we've been trying to navigate how you would set that up on a non-90-day basis for the last year. I think I've met these in the past. There's no permanent structures, there's no lights, there's no utilities, there's no change to the landscape besides adding gravel.
Not proposing any grading, it's already flat.
We're only adding gravel to the existing, everything is existing.
What's the hours of operation for that portion, for the sawmill itself?
It's Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, it's working hours. It's small, it's a primarily one-man operation. Again, it's like these small tow-behind style sawmills.
So one of the conditions of the approval would be what you just said, that'd be part of the map, that the operation of it would be Monday through Friday only.
Sure.
9 through 5. I don't see, are there no homes anywhere in the area?
No, there's no homes. The closest homes are on the other side of this stream, like a ways up, Lucas Turnpike.
Towards, to the left of your building, as I'm looking at the map?
That's correct. And I don't know how far that is. It's a significant, it's half a mile maybe.
And who has the property to the right? I don't remember.
That's the Acorn Waldorf School that's owned by the Espositos.
I have a question on that topic. Alex, on your map, you mentioned that there's a solar wood drying kiln and lumber storage.
Correct.
And then you're mentioning that there's proposed 5 solar kilns and 2 wood sawmills, each 8 foot by 25. Is that correct?
Correct.
Those are on the map. You got light blue for.
Yep, I'm looking at it.
Correct. The solar kilns are essentially like a little greenhouse. Have a little solar panel and a fan and a clear roof as a way that when wood is, the intention is that fallen trees are able to be milled. They're stickered, which means they're just stacked, which is the bulk of what this land is doing, is stacked freshly cut wood. It goes into a solar kiln for anywhere from 1 to 6 months. It comes out, it's on its way.
Mr. Church?
I was just saying, we started with you're gonna have 1 saw.
It's
Now
like,
it's 2
it's 2
and
saws.
5 kilns. For the kilns permanent structure.
No, it's a pallet, it's like a greenhouse on a
No, but I
pallet.
mean, according to building codes.
No, it's not a permanent structure according to Bill.
Okay.
And there's been some confusion with my application as I was granted a building permit because I'm not building anything. And I was granted a building permit and we started putting the gravel out and we started moving our stuff into the space, of which now we're coming back to this process.
Right, so I was advised by the building department that there was an error, that the permit was actually issued inadvertently. They acknowledged the mistake and the plan does need to come to the planning board for site plan approval because there is an amendment required in the EEO category. So that's why Mr. Banner's here. Although the town board has approved the EEO, the amendment still is required by us. So the building department acknowledges them. So where we're at right now is, as Mr. Church said, these proposals, Mr. Banner's not requesting any grading, just the addition of gravel.
The existing parking, is there already? We're not doing-
Existing parking is significant, and on the map, we dedicated 2 parking spots to this operation.
That's
So
all
the only
there
thing
by
that
then.
we're looking at,
But that's already there.
Yeah, all
Yep.
this is, the only thing that we're doing is in this hatched line down at the bottom corner.
everything else we approved
Correct.
2 years ago, 3 years ago.
That's right, that's right.
What's the dimension of that task?
Of the what?
The what?
The right of way.
Okay, so I was gonna ask that, that was my next question. So, Mr. Banner, I do see a right of way that looks like it goes through from Lucas Turnpike. It goes through your property to the bottom, passing the sawmill proposal and going to the back of the property.
Correct.
Can you just talk about that? And how is that? Is that currently in existence? Is it currently used?
It is in existence, it's
Okay.
used by my neighbor.
Okay.
Trucks pass through. We don't inhibit it.
Okay.
It's-
So you
it's-
realize that as that proposal for that new sawmill and your proposed items, that right of way would still need to be accessible to the neighbor.
Yeah, which it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I actually was at this site the other day. I stopped in to see what the application was so I could become familiar because I haven't been there before. And I did see that gravel drive that goes to the back. I couldn't go back there. And I saw sort of where this, it looks like it goes off the property a little and then flattens out where your proposal is and then
That's
property
right.
lines behind it.
Correct.
Okay.
So Chair, the last time we had something like this,
Yep.
machinery like this was probably that lumber operation on the other side of 209.
It's a bit bigger.
Yeah.
It's a little bit bigger.
Tad bigger.
So we had to provide us with, as I recall, the specs from the piece of machinery, the shredding machinery, in terms of the amount of noise that was produced.
I think I
You
have
have
to
that
in the
find
file.
all of that. And it's like, and I think we met before. This has been a long process of doing this, and it's not, it's like a 2-stroke motor. It's like a putt-putt choo-choo motor. It's not a,
It's not a diesel motor.
it's not a diesel motor. It's not a high whaling motor. It's a putt-putt. I don't know how to describe it. I submitted all the engine sizes, all the stuff. There's no like decibel ratings. I don't know how to describe it other than putt.
Yeah, we did, I remember days ago, we went to this.
Chainsaw motor,
Right.
maybe a
It's like
little lawnmower.
Yeah, it's like a log splitter. That's right. That's right. That's
Oh,
the
log
right
splitter.
motor.
Okay.
That's right. It's a small gas motor.
Piston, gas. Okay.
No, there's no,
Do you notice, no noise when saw is working?
excuse me?
No noise when saw is working?
I mean, there's,
The saw itself.
well, the motor is the saw. So there's the noise of the motor itself.
Alex, if I remember correctly, that saw, just thinking of past sawmills that I've seen, it actually goes on top of the wood that you're cutting, or does yours, the wood actually?
No, it's like, if it were this table
Sure.
and this is a tray, the log goes on top and then the blade passes.
Exactly.
over. And then it's not mechanized, there's no big, this is really like a one-man thing, so you cut the thing and then you heave it off and you put it in a pile and then you do the next cut. It's a slow, there's no mass production. This is not a mass production operation. There's no intention for this in any way to be mass production.
How big the load?
They vary, they're limited to the machine, so the log is, I don't know, approximately this diameter by no longer than 20 feet.
Board, any other questions?
Yes. I beat you. Once again, I'm a broken record on this, we can. I mean, I guess because on the one side at Esposito, that's a school, it isn't a residence, so we can increase greater buffering.
Buffer?
I mean, and I along the side there, I think it's fencing. I guess my thought is, low probability, but some kid running over, getting through, or if, out of curiosity of things going on, if we have some degree, I don't know if we need a greater setback, we don't really have room for a greater setback than this, or if you could maybe call out, are there trees? I know in your application, it says it's pretty much just mowed field.
Yeah, there's a fence. For whatever it's worth, those kids are on my property every day. They're like a major part. They come, they go to the creek, there's a field.
That's
They're
good.
like a major part of why we're there. They're the teachers, the kids are all, my kids go to school there.
So
They're
like,
familiar.
that's.
There's also a fence.
Right, so my thought is, now that it is a saw and a sawmill, it's cool to have the kids all wander around, I have no problem with that. Since your health, safety and welfare.
Yep.
Do we need to think of something? Fencing around the sawmill stuff or sign to say they do not touch or anything? This is also for you too, in case that one parent came along and their kids went over to the sawmill, cut their hand and they sue you.
For whatever it's worth, the kids enter, if you look at my map here, they enter at the southmost corner of the building. There's a well, there's a gas tank here.
Yeah.
They don't, there's no, it's hard to describe, but there's not really, it's weeded, it's not, there's no, the kids don't come that way. There's a fence that lines their property. They enter the fence, they come up along the, they have no interest in the bottom part of the property. They come up this side and we have this field here. And this is where the kids hang out. And there's we have a garden and grass.
So
Mr. Banner, I have a question.
my thought is I would like to see something.
Well, here's an idea. Have you thought of, and logical question here, instead of having the sawmill in that location, have you thought about having it potentially where you have the asphalt portion, I believe it's number 5, where you have 5 or 6 parking spots there on the top portion of the property? So when you enter the property towards the right-hand side, would that be a better safety measure for the?
That's not preferred. No, it's not preferred. We've, the wood shop receives, we get deliveries. And a lot of the intention on what we're doing here is that there's a chiropractor also in the building. Chiropractor sees the public. He sees them for 30-minute appointments. The people that are seeing a chiropractor need a chiropractor. So they're less mobile. And they park center in the building. My intention is to keep all commercial traffic, which is primarily me and my business at this point, in this front part. My staff parks there. We receive deliveries from FedEx, UPS, we get lumber deliveries. No trucks ever really pass down the driveway. I mean, not no trucks, but very few. There's no reason for them to come down the driveway. So the hope is that this asphalt section is where if anybody's dropping lumber or there's a truck, it's all happening at the top of the property, and then we bring it down in a smaller, like more controlled way. There's no big truck.
Why don't we just around the sawmill this now, so why don't we just require there to be a fencing around that allows the operation to happen, but the fencing, a 5-foot fence around the sawmill area. The solar kilns and
Sort of
the,
my solar kiln defined.
I don't think that's, Mr. Church, you had a comment.
No, I'm just looking at the map quick. I'm confused why you're trying to squeeze it in down here when you've got all this flat area up front.
Because it's not,
Isn't that where you actually have the sawmill now?
there's a bunch of wood stored there and it hasn't been working.
Oh,
It's not working.
I'm
great.
actually running the sawmill crowd because I own a portable sawmill, so I'm slightly familiar with this guy. I went with once. So it was there once, right?
Yeah, we've been there. We've been trying to navigate the town on how to do this, to be perfectly honest. And we didn't know if we can just put it there. We didn't know if we can just apply for these 90-day applications over and over. For whatever it's worth, I think I'm on month 15 of doing this. And so the town, through the town board, because I'm the EEO, it has been, and I think I'm the only EEO, if not, nobody really knows what to do with me. So it's just kind of taken a while to go through, and the town has been lenient, I guess, on the fact that we didn't know what to do, and we're like trying to ask for permission. It's taken a very long time. So it is there. It is not ideal because we have trucks that make turns. We're really trying to have that be a drop-off space. And we have this big flat portion at the bottom of our property that doesn't interfere with our tenant's drive. There's no interference on anybody that interacts with our property.
So
they're
my only
basically-
comment having
Hang on.
operated some personally is I would not want it next to the school.
Yeah.
I mean, it's dangerous. Seriously dangerous. I mean, you're talking about in my case, it's a large chainsaw mill, but I don't know if you're gonna use a bandsaw mill or whatever, but they are noisy. They are dangerous. There's a lot of moving parts. Anything could happen. It seems to me is just off the top of my head, looking at the map for the first time, might be way more suitable when you're away from conflicting lane uses if you get up top or somewhere. Otherwise, the board might want to consider some kind of buffering or screening, just to make sure,
It sounds like.
At the very least.
just to make sure people don't get.
at the
If we're
very
gonna go
least, it
back
needs to be
here.
fenced.
Right, I agree with that.
It needs to be fenced, even if it's up huge.
Sorry?
I don't understand, when they go to childcare, how the kids going to your property? Why is it allowed to go to the property?
Oh, I think it's essentially a pre-prescribed rezoning process, right?
Yes.
So you're, the kid should.
Childcare.
I think it's just
Well,
a
that's
back-
relevant to us.
Outside our purview.
Do it, or whatever.
I
We just
get
have
If
to-
he allows the kids, if he allows them to be there, that's his.
There's no safety. It's really,
Yeah.
it's lovely and not dangerous. For
So-
years of doing it.
I would just say, I think we can, because in the front, we're gonna run into problems on the front, scenic byway, you're gonna see it's a really pretty open area in front there. If we just fence it in and back,
I agree with that.
and that's.
I
And
think
put
the board
buffering
does
so they
need to
get
apply
Hang on.
the general commercial standards to the noise standards, right, lighting, vibration, all of that. So I'm not sure how that works out so close to the property line.
Well, that's why I was asking for the specs on how much noise is made. We got, in this other project, we got the specs and it was well within what we required. So if we find out how much noise it produces.
Do you have any suggestions on how I have looked for this,
You get the make of it.
yeah, it's all submitted. It's like a little Honda motor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little,
the noise, it's the saw that makes the noise. I've never heard a quiet sawmill.
the saw doesn't, it doesn't make a ton of noise.
Well,
And
and
that's not over the motor.
We don't need to be able to make some reason not Patrick. All you
Let's
can
get a
say,
sound test.
We have a place, you go to the periphery, you run the saw, somebody goes, there's a sound test in the very back, on the side, the side toward, the school. And then on the side of the river, that's gonna be nothing because nobody's there, and we see first you do not run a sawmill, and you say, here's the ambient noise. And then we have the ambient noise, then you run the sawmill and we say, up, here's how much it goes up. If it doesn't go up over our limit, that's fine, you run your sawmill, we have no problem, it goes up over. Then we add mitigation, one of the mitigations is putting fence up, if the fence blocks it. Or you throw in some pine trees that look like weeds, and that helps block it also. So we try to mitigate it, but we don't know right now, so we just test and see. So what you do is you can literally get it on your iPhone or something. And you run a sound test, it's just normal, I'd say run it normal, like at rush hour when people are driving up and down Lucas a little bit, so you don't do it at Sunday when everybody's asleep. You hear it, you test at the edge and you say it's X, and then you see if you are more than 10 decibels above X, then we find a way to mitigate it. If you're not underneath that, boom, done, we don't discuss it anymore, we don't have to worry about that, so cool. Same thing with vibration. As Emily brought up, we have in our 140-20, if you vibrate at the edge of the property more than could be tested by a vibration testing machine, I don't know what that is, then you need to do something. I find it unlikely that standing on the edge, running your sawmill, it's gonna be shaking so much. So we could probably say vibration is not gonna be a problem. We can test for noise, and then the other one would be to make sure, quote unquote, air pollution, that when you cut these logs, that you don't, sawdust isn't going all over. What on earth is, I don't know anything about sawmills as opposed to Mr. Church. So we do that. All we do is test to what our code is. And we see if it meets the code, it's totally fine. If it breaks whatever. our
We need
code is,
mitigation.
Then we do
Zorian?
a modification.
Yeah, I also, I saw some design of those cone in the middle of pilot, and I'm not sure is any order gonna become, fan was blowing there, so make sure that.
It's
blowing-
wood sitting there.
Yeah, but no, it's wet wood, and you cut it, I don't know, kids maybe some allergic, I'm,
We don't have code for
We don't-
allergic kids.
okay, fine, but.
We have
Okay, we
code
do-
if we're doing a paper mill.
Right, but we.
We're not doing a
whatever,
paper mill.
You just mentioned. Order or something, you said,
Exhaust.
you mentioned something in one of the law?
There's quote unquote air pollution and more dust, stuff going around.
But I know it will be blowing fence, I'm sure there will be some kind of order, maybe it's not a big deal. But I guess.
Anne Marie?
I was just gonna say the school bears 100% responsibility for these kids not coming onto the property. I understand your children are probably bringing a friend over after school hours, which is completely different, so. I mean, it sounds like everyone's afraid that the kids are just like, oh, it's 10 o'clock, let's just go to the school and turn ourselves up. I know that's not what's happening, but the school bears a responsibility of where the children are, what happens after school.
And they shouldn't be just sending children over there unattended.
That's what I'm saying. It
That's-
doesn't make
That's
any-
absolutely, they never would.
Right.
That school's great.
But
so
all
they're-
children
Are
Right.
being.
100%.
That's
while they're
still-
there.
100%. Absolutely.
But guys, that all doesn't matter to us because we're supposed to mitigate the safety, health. and
Right, the safety is not
welfare.
necessarily a child, it could be a dog, it could be
Right,
anything that
right,
happens
right.
to be there.
So
So
the best thing to
I-
do that is.
the
you
fence,
fence in
a
something
5-foot fence is very realistic in this situation.
So we don't need to. And
So that would be a 5-foot chain link fence.
Does it have to be changed?
Does it have to be chain link?
Well, I think
That could
that,
help with the noise buffer as well.
I think that the
stockade.
concern with it could be a stockade fence, something wood or metal, but I don't want to see a 3 or a 2 rail cow fence
This
because
would be nicer looking than a chain link fence. though,
Yes.
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just, what I mentioned by chain link
Yeah,
is,
it'd be so nice. Yeah, it's very pretty down
what
there.
I mentioned by chain link is just because I don't want the ability to have a child or a dog or a cat walk underneath the bottom of the fence.
It's currently a picket fence.
Okay, that's
And
acceptable.
we're trying to find out whether or not he has to put up fencing and buffering with the landscaping. And if he needs to put up some sort of fencing to help buffer as well, then that tells you what kind of fence.
Right.
If you're not, because of the noise, if you don't need extra buffering, then you decide what kind of fence it just needs to keep everything out.
Could be
And it needs
one of
a
those
door for
log
somebody.
fences. Could be-
There was noise absorbing curtains.
But we don't know if we need that yet.
We have to get a sound test.
So-
No. Right.
So we test that.
I would
way.
love to put a tree line along both property lines. A fine tree line is the intention.
Okay,
So
so,
I think
so,
maybe, Chair, you should meet and go through
Sure.
every one of 140-20.
Yep.
And go with you guys and go through the mitigation ideas, give him a game plan. Because it really isn't, we're making it a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
And it has to be here.
Yeah.
We're beating
so I
it.
think what we should do first is we would need you to provide a sound test, the results of the sound test to us in that location. To see what mitigation, if any, is required.
Sure.
Once we can have that sound test, again, we want that to be done during normal business hours of when the sawmill would be operating, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, as you requested. That time frame of hours of operation would be something that would be on the map, so it would be something that is enforceable by the code enforcement officer. So it is important that we stick to those, whatever that time frame is, we want to keep it that way.
And do I list that physically on the map?
So what we're gonna do is we'll sit down, or I can meet with Hooter, the many coordinators.
Yeah.
We can meet with them. They're familiar with adding what they call map notes.
Yeah.
So we can provide them with a list of what the board is requesting, and then they can add those map notes and any adjustments to them.
Sure. Is that something that happens now or later?
Well, the first thing we want you to do is get a sound test. If the sound test comes back acceptable by town code, potentially we don't need additional items. We would just have that sound test map note be on the map so that it is confirmed that if you were to change motors or your motor broke down and you had to buy a new one, that the sound still is within that number of mitigation. Okay,
The other thing is just fence.
What's that?
So with the fence.
And you're gonna need to show on the map where the fence, is, which by the sounds of it, you're gonna propose it in that five-sided shape that you have there. Does that
Yeah,
make
it
sense?
exists essentially along the property line. My southern neighbor has a fence existing as well.
Okay.
So there's a picket fence and then there's a tall, maybe 10-foot fence.
Okay. And then the fence would need to be outside the right of way, obviously.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Okay, Mr. Church, missing anything?
No, I'm good.
Council, Emily?
If we get up lighting, also, it's not gonna be, it's during the day.
There's
So
no,
if
there's no
need
lighting.
For lighting.
There's no lighting, there's no water.
February, when it's-
There's no, that's right.
And then the others is a real bit of minutia, but
There's no public comment.
you didn't send it, you said you didn't have to send it to Ag and Markets, but you do put this in AG3. So you just fill out, can you get him the Ag and Markets form?
It'll be a condition. Yeah, we'll get you that.
What, can you just say what it's
It's called
It's, you have to send it to,
Ag and
Ag
Markets,
and
New York State
Markets.
Ag and Markets.
we have the form we can give you, and it just, because you have a farm behind you, and you actually are on AG3.
Agriculture zoning.
agricultural zoning, so they have to know when things are going on in agriculture. You already hold the stuff there, you just basically fill it out, you list the farm, your.
We have to
thing
notify.
And your farm
Uh-huh.
around it.
Okay.
I know in your original thing, you said we didn't do that, but I looked it up and you did. That's it, and I'll shut up.
And I just want to make sure the sound test is not just with the engine of the sawmill running, but the sawmill running in full effect.
Right, you need to put a log on it and put us on. Yeah, of course.
Engine, I want to hear it fully operating.
You want
And how do
logs,
how do I physically give proof of that test? Am I like recording a video from the
You would
corner?
hire a sound engineer,
Yep.
like say, for instance, we have the Stone House, we have various other places around here that have to do that, and just, you could be in touch with one of them, but there's plenty of places out there.
I can provide you with 3 names of people who have utilized different companies in the area, and you can consult with them and hire them on as a person who would come and do that for you. Ultimately, you would set up, have your sawmill there, have your log or whatever you're cutting ready to go. They would come in and start their process of what they do, and you would actually physically cut a saw as if you were allowed to cut the saw.
Yeah.
Allowed to cut the log.
How do I physically, am I allowed now to, I started this process. We started putting the rocks, we started because I thought we were allowed to. We started doing this. We put crushed gravel down. We were called, DEC was called, all these people were called to halt our progress. We weren't red tagged because we weren't in violation of anything, but I have my neighbor is very intent on my failure. So anything that we're doing on this bottom part of the property is filmed and photographed because it appears, I feel as though he thinks we're trying to pull a fast one. I've been very timid to do anything in this part of my property because I just have somebody standing there. How do I physically go and do this without, I mean, I had armed DEC come looking for me a couple weeks ago.
And why would, we'll probably going into an area where you need a lawyer to tell you what you can and you can't do. Having said that, I guess the DEC came because you're within the 100,000-foot buffer of the roundabout. That's probably why they came and you created some disturbance. So
It was, they came, there was no, I submitted my report of the DEC. There's nothing. There's nothing.
That's enough.
There's
No,
nothing.
it's just
So
more,
you know what? I can't tell you what you're gonna do with your neighbor.
but he has to do this test.
I have to do
You
this
have to have
test.
the test.
So
what's
he
that
just,
got to do
he
with
just
your
does the test, and the neighbor's just gonna have to deal with it.
Right, so to answer your question, you were thinking that should you put the gravel there as if it was supposed to be there going forward? We can't allow you to do any land disturbance or additions or changes prior to being approved. So you would need to bring, like you can't put gravel down to bring the sawmill there to do the work. We would need you to bring the sawmill there to do the work, get your test done, remove the sawmill back to wherever it is or it shouldn't be, whatever that makes sense, so that the town sound test can be done. If the neighbor is interested in watching this or making sure that it is done correctly, the code enforcement officer, the DEC, nobody has any jurisdiction to say that they can't do that. But you would probably want to engage with a lawyer to see what you are allowed or not allowed to do starting today or tomorrow, if that makes sense.
I mean, we have a planning board, we have a planning board.
We have that
here,
written here.
guys.
Can you write a letter like we after making letter?
That's a good question too.
Okay, council, what is your recommendation?
There are a lot of different questions.
Okay,
so
the question from the applicant is, in order to do a sound test, he actually needs to physically move the items there. Is that something that is acceptable by us to do so?
Is that all you just want to move them there for the test?
Yeah, I guess I'm proposing that if I could do, like, is there a way to achieve the sound test where I don't have to lug this thing down and then we're doing a setback? If I have the saw set in a different part of the property and you can sound test it? No, it has to be where it is. That's fine.
No.
I just gotta lug it around is what we're
You gotta
saying.
look around, you do the sound test on your property, you do a sound test on your property, blah, 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 blah.
Fine, that's fine. That's all I need.
It's not.
Yeah. Take action against.
Alex, also to ensure that the sound test is done accurately, because we want to make sure it's done correctly, you're proposing 2 sawmills.
Correct.
Okay? In my opinion, you would need to do a sound test on both of them. One that borders the lot line to the school, and the other one that borders the lot line behind you, because
It's closer, yeah.
they are each closer to a neighboring property. So when you have the sawmill there, you're gonna have to move the one to the other side and set up, if that makes sense. Or I don't know if you already have 2. But I wouldn't want you to ask you to lug it in.
One. And they're very similar, but slightly different, just in width and length. But I think they might even be the same motor. I don't know. The other one doesn't exist yet. This is like in hopes of.
So we would need the existing sawmill in both locations
Fine.
for
Oh,
the
that's
sound.
no
test.
problem.
Yeah, okay.
Once you lug it down there, scooting it 20 feet.
Well, exactly.
Do you have 2 saws right now?
He has 1.
You only have 1. So are you ever gonna be, you're gonna be running 2 saws at the same time?
No.
No, I mean, again, it's a one-man, one of
It's a
them,
one-man operation.
correct.
So you're not gonna run this one's one time.
That's correct.
But we would need the sound test in each location, not running simultaneously, because that's not a possibility. But the first sound test where you're proposing it on the school side,
Sure.
and then lugging it, like you said, 20 feet over and running it again for the neighbor behind you, because that location is closer.
And that's been requested by the plan.
Yeah, no problem. That's fine.
Chair, is there any sort of letter we can give him in the event of any conflict coming up while he's doing the sound test that the planning board has requested?
No, it's in the minutes, at the town, that if there's a concern from a neighboring party, involved agency, the code enforcement officer, they can reach out to us directly and we can advise them that this is allowed by the planning board and accepted based on a one-time usage for a sound test.
Sure.
So for involved people, there's going to be 2 tests. So you're going to hear this thing run twice. One on the school side lot line and one in the other proposed lot line, other proposed location neighboring the other.
So we do a follow-up letter anyway, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a very good question, because the DEC might get called and they're saying, why am I here? Well, it's because I'm allowed to do this.
For whatever
and
it's worth, when DEC was there, I gave them the same map.
Sure.
And, I mean,
Understood.
we don't even come, there's nothing.
Why was the DEC there?
I don't know. My neighbor called the
Did he
DEC.
stop anything you were doing?
No,
It's in the notes are in there that it was.
There was no
a
findings.
DEC term for it.
Okay.
It was resolved.
Board, any other questions for Mr. Banner? Mr. Banner, any questions for us? So I will wait to hear from you. A couple things will happen. I will get to you the information for the sound test people. There's a couple different companies. You can call whoever you wish. I will give you the Ag and Markets form for you to send that to Ag and Markets. And then once your sound test is complete, you and I will schedule a meeting to go over 140-20 to make sure we have everything in line for your new submittal, which on your new submittal, again, we'll need to have the map notes that we'll add to Mid-Mac and Egger. We will have your sound test results, and we will have your proposed fence that you are, that we are requiring that you add. Council, anything I'm missing?
No, that sounds great.
Mr. Church? Okay, Mr. Banner, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Very much.
All righty.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, we have a couple of other items on the agenda, which we can go through fairly quickly. First thing is the approval of the April 12th and April 24th minutes. Those minutes are not ready yet. They're not prepared, so I'll ask to postpone that.
Motion to table approval of the minutes until the next regularly scheduled June meeting.
Thank you. People, June, I have a second. Rick, Lauren, Rick. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Next is Accord LLC. This is the granary project that we have been talking about for years. Finally, they have come back. The town board is asking comments based on the EEO, rezoning and seeker, et cetera. It seems to be just as we have reviewed it originally. Keep in mind, we will have this in front of us for site plan approval once the EEO is approved. The items are loaded into the drive. Does anybody have any questions on that?
So my comment is,
Yep.
they changed the parking around a bit.
I saw that.
Better.
Yeah, I like it too. It's
But
better.
we really don't have any comment, yeah, we don't say that, we don't have any. of
We don't,
the
exactly.
Stuff to.
So I'm gonna respond saying at this time, we have no comments. Once they come to us for site plan approval, that's when we can look at parking and lighting and all.
We have no details whatsoever, it's a dream and a concept.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, great. Last meeting.
The other thing is.
Yep.
In theory, and this is actually to ask you guys, we can, if we see their seeker, if we think they changed something or did something, we could say we disagree because we're an involved agency.
Sure.
I don't really think there's anything there. This is not a big super seeker intensive.
Agreed.
Just so everybody knows, if
We have
if
the
they
ability
said this is
to,
a minor impact, we could say, no, it's a major. If they said it was a major, we could come up and say, oh, actually, we as an involved agency disagree with your seeker. But I don't think we have any reason to do that in this case.
I agree.
For the rezone.
This is for the rezoning of an EEO.
No, they're creating.
Well, I don't,
Correct,
you know,
which is a new zone.
Party of the reason.
Because it's gonna have a site plan.
It's gonna have a site plan.
That's a separate.
We're an involved agency.
Are you not a seeker for site plan review?
No, we don't.
So
we're
the
not-
presumption
it's an
is if you,
EEO. It's another one.
if you're coordinating review, your seeker is done by that.
Our seeker is done, but can't we come back if we see something? and
So
be
when
able
they,
to- They did the
they cover
EEO.
seeker for the site plan
When they do the EEO, they have to come to us and say, do you want to be lead or we're gonna be lead
for everything,
for everything?
including the site. plan.
So we
That's
just do a site plan review with
That's
no,
unusual.
it's a horrible.
And it's a list of unusual.
Well, then you could. We can't make you coordinate.
Well,
you know what? Realize you're all on the
They
same
worked
team.
out okay with this, the gentleman just was before.
Sure.
us. There was some stumbles here and there, much smaller than what's
Yeah.
we've been done in Accord, but it worked out. Even though we
Yeah.
said, well, we don't understand.
Well, I
how
guess the
you get to-
impression was some people, thought once you got that, he was good to go.
That's the problem. So originally, the building
It's just a
department.
rezoning, that's,
Great.
it's,
So they do need site plan approval. They will be in front of us for site. So at this time, the board doesn't have any comments. Is that correct?
They don't have enough.
Not enough information to provide. Okay, we've talked about at the last meeting, the meeting times. Have we come to a decision on where we are? What are we doing?
I can tell you my opinion, I've said it ad nauseam, it should be at 6:30 because it should be coordinated with the rest of the town and all the meetings are at 6:30 and all of our meetings should be at the same time. And we have a lot on the agenda and we do best to start earlier.
I agree for a 6:30 start time for our meetings going further.
Any other comments?
I'll be different.
This creates a challenge.
Yeah, but Patrick, we do this for the public, we don't do it for ourselves.
And we do it once a month.
And we do it once a month.
Oh, we actually do it twice a month.
No, the workshops do not, workshops are occasional.
And they've always been, at 6,
And they've always been at 6:30.
which is a challenge to get to a workshop. Okay, want to vote? What do you guys want to do?
You don't have to vote, but I make
Okay.
a motion to change it to 6:30.
I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? One, Patrick. Any abstentions? Okay, Patrick opposed. Okay, 6:30 start time. It's new for us. A reminder, we will have the May workshop meeting. The May workshop meeting.
In June.
Huh?
It's in June.
It is in June. So the May workshop meeting is in June 1st at 6:30. Reminder, and yes, you have homework for the first time for a workshop meeting, all of us, to take a look at the DeJager Part 2. Manufacture your own Part 2 when you come to the meeting. We'd like to go over each individual line item. We're going to go by head category, and if we need to drill down, we will. Our goal is to come up with a determination for seeker at the workshop meeting. Patrick.
Since most of the information that's going into that application is up in the air regarding the comments back from Nadine. I mean, I go through that and pretty much it's all large. Nadine's paperwork says it's all small because she has mitigations, but we have no idea what the mitigations are.
Well,
So
he's
how-
outlined the mitigations on the map because I've started my Part 2. So she has put her mitigations on the map as to what she feels the mitigations are acceptable. It's our purview to decide if that is acceptable or not. So like in my, understood. In my Part 2 that I'm doing is I have each line item and the comments from Nadine as to where she sees the mitigation. And based on my review of each item, I'm saying it's still a large impact, or nope, it's been rectified, checking the box, no to small impact, moving on.
Are we having please our council and our consultant do this also for us?
They've already done it.
So
Yep, it's in the file.
I've been
So,
avoiding that file like.
of course.
Haven't we all?
I will say that in my purview, Nadine has rectified a lot of the items that we originally had comments on. I also believe that there is still work to be done, but I think that we're ready to make a determination. So that's just my purview of what I've seen so far.
So pretty much what it looks to me boils down to, I looked at what she wrote.
Yep.
Whether she has it as small, we decide no, it's really large. The fact of the matter is, I sort of agree with what you just said.
Sure.
Most everything that I can think of, small or large, she's mitigated.
Exactly.
The real question is whether or not her mitigation system.
That is absolutely correct. So in my opinion, and her opinion, she feels like she has supplied a mitigation or a remedy to our concern. It's our purview to decide if we agree with her or not.
So the real issue is the mitigation adequate to cover?
Right.
those things?
Right.
Well, can I
Yes, of course.
speak to the legal standards? So I think that sometimes those small and, medium to large can be confusing categories.
Sure.
The standard is whether there's a potential for a significant adverse environmental impact. So you have to look at each of those categories and think about whether there's a potential for a significant adverse environmental impact. And the mitigation, I mean, you could look at the mitigating measures to determine whether there is that potential. But it's not a question of whether it's the best mitigation there could be. That's the standard you'd apply after you go through a full POSDEC and an EIS.
Sure.
Then you'd look at, is this the best mitigation possible, and kind of weigh the balance. Right now, the question is only, given the entirety of the project,
Is there a
including the mitigation measures, is there potential for a significant adverse?
So I that's a little bit different than we understood. So you're saying that we're not looking at, is the mitigation that's proposed good enough in our mind? What we're really looking at is, does it have the ability to have a huge environmental impact, period?
In consideration of the
debate is
mitigation.
gonna,
Yes.
the debate.
Well, you're looking at the mitigation.
The debate
Yes.
is gonna wind up being, should this be a neg deck with multiple mitigations?
Right.
Or is this a pause deck?
Right.
And I'm not weighing in one way or the other. So I don't understand how you just explained it. Yeah.
I do.
Go ahead, you wanna,
I
well,
think
either
it's-
you explain it
I think
again,
it's
you
because-
interpret what.
Well, let's get
It
there and
is-
try, and then I'll.
It is a cumulative. One thing is cumulative, so the mitigation for this, you can have small mitigations for everything, but if cumulatively, you still end up with the potential for a large environmental impact, then those little mitigations aren't really doing anything. The second thing is, we have to take a hard look. So you'd have a lot of mitigations, but our hard look is everything added together. Is that gonna make a big potential, large?
Significant adverse-
Adverse impact. And the last one that I would add is you always have to look at this over time. Because a lot of the things here, you can say, we're mitigating this right now, but over time, 14 leach fields on a place that doesn't leach is gonna go into that wetland probably. I don't see how you get over that unless you reduce the number of.
So Rick,
Okay, so now you're jumping ahead as to.
I'm jumping ahead.
Emily,
which I
how does
shouldn't,
that-
but-
Comment on her comment.
Okay, that's great. So I think I agree with all of that because those are also elements, looking at the cumulative impact, looking at whether there's a number of, medium impacts that adds up to a big impact. But the point that I was trying to get at is that, like, I don't actually know this project, so I'm having a hard time with the example, but like, say there was a project that had a big wetland and you were gonna have to fill part of it to make the project. That would, depending on the quality of the wetland and everything, that might be a significant adverse impact. Now, in the course of doing your determination of significance, you would look at the mitigation they're proposing, but you might still say, yeah, that's a significant adverse impact. Then when you go through the, if you did a POSDEC and you did an EIS, at the end of it, then your standard is this the best mitigation you can come up with? That's a little bit different standard, you know what I'm saying? Then at this stage, you can't just say, well, they did the best they could. If there's a significant impact, there's a significant impact. That's a POSDEC.
Okay.
Does that sound right?
Okay.
lastly,
Okay.
I
Dave,
think you don't need any more.
Okay.
yeah,
I think the word mitigation proactively is the wrong term.
Yeah,
You're talking about project elements that are being proposed, right?
yes,
And you're trying to figure out if those things you're calling mitigation measures are actually parts of the project.
Yeah.
And if those collectively create a potential for a significant environmental impact, you gotta POSDEC.
Right.
Thank you.
thank
Next
you.
thing is a magazine.
Last,
Like-
found these in the office that should have been dispersed last month. Sorry, here they are. Reading material. If you need eyesight, the back's got you covered. Training hours. If you owe me training hours, please send it. If you don't owe me training hours, fine. If you need to do your training, please do it. I don't want to harp on it. I think that everybody is okay, but don't quote me on that. I need a motion by somebody
I make a
to,
motion to adjourn the meeting.
okay, Zach. And Marie, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. See everybody on June 1st. If you don't mind helping me clean up, that would be, oh boy. That would be appreciated.
Sure will, honey.
I'll take it.